Okay, y'all. So today I'm gonna give y'all a story time about why it is important to not fuck with something that you was not gonna mess with to begin with. Like going outside of your type. Just don't do it. Just stick to what you know, okay? All right, let's get into it. Or whatever. And I was talking to this dude. I think I met him on Hinge or Facebook dating. One of those. Hinge or Facebook dating or whatever. And we was talking for like a week or so. And I ended up getting his Snapchat. And we started texting on Snapchat. And he kept asking me, could he come out here? And I'm like, nah, you know, I don't really want to fuck with you right now like that. Anyways, so one night, I think I was lonely or bored or whatever. Mind you, this nigga lived in Shreveport, Louisiana. I live in Denton, Texas. Do the math of how long this is. I want to say something.
I almost got murdered today, and this is what happened. I matched with this guy on Bumble. We talk, like, exchange a few messages back and forth, and then we switched to WhatsApp. We decided to go on a date, so he planned one for today. When I asked him to send me what bar we're going to, he sent me a postcode, and he was like, meet here. So I googled the postcode, and I put on maps, and it was like flats. There was like a residential street, so I was like, what is this? I don't want to meet here, like, can we just meet at the bar? No, he was like, no, just meet me here, we can walk together. And I was like, can I just please meet you at the bar? And again, he was just like, just meet me here. Obviously, I was still going to go to the bar. He eventually told me the bar's name. And I am coming, well, I was supposed to be in the office today, so I would have been coming from wherever my office is. And
this morning, I woke up to text from a guy that said he wanted to dip out my eyeballs and take out my organs and suck them until he sucks the life out of them. He also said that I should be burnt at the stake and I'm a disgusting piece of capitalism. Who is this guy, you might ask? I actually used to date him. When I first moved to New York, like 3-4 years ago, he was the first guy I was in like a talking stage with. It fizzled out after 2 months. Didn't even make it to month 3. I ended it. No fake names, his name is Sam. He has been hitting me up a few times a year since then. He continued trying to go on dates with me after that. I was like, listen, Sam, we're not each other's person. You gotta move on. If you followed me for a while, I've actually talked about him before. He's the guy that had to hide my phone number in a random page in a random book and then put it with a bunch of other random books to keep himself from texting me. When he first told me that, I was like,
I've been dating this guy for about 8 months now, and I made the horrible decision of getting comfortable using the bathroom around him. Not number 1, number 2. So my rule of thumb is to try to make it very quick, okay? A very quick process, in and out. You barely even know that I was gone. So I go to the bathroom, and I'm thinking it's gonna be a quick little trip. I'm using the bathroom, and then it's suddenly 2 minutes turns to 3 minutes, 3 minutes turns to 4 minutes, and I'm constipated, okay? It's taking a minute to come out. Finally, plops down in the toilet. Thank God. I went to go flush it. It's stuck. Not flushing. I audibly go, oh, no. He hears me from outside the bathroom. He goes, is everything okay? I said, oh, it's fine. It wasn't fine. I tried flushing again, was not flushing. So then I leave the bathroom and I look at him and I'm like, hey, do you have a plunger? He gives me his plunger. He's like, do you need my help with anything? I said, no, it's okay. I got it. I go back in, try plunging it. And this is not a...
Ever been on a date so bad you had to walk her out? Halfway through, you're just sitting there thinking, what the hell was I thinking? You're not the only one. These women lived it, and they told us everything. Quick favor first. Like and subscribe. It helps more than you know. All right, let's get into it.
Hey guys, this is not my usual type of content, but I just have to make it. I was literally on the worst date of my life. The whole date lasted less than 1 hour. And I couldn't take it. I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here. We matched on Bumble, I think. And then we decided to, well, he asked me out. He was like, oh, do you want to get some drinks on Friday? And I was like, bet, sure, let's do it. And it wasn't like an upscale bar where like each cocktail is like $20-$30 each. This is like a normal bar where there's like beer o'clock, and it's affordable. It's affordable. It's like $7 per drink. When I met him, like right before we sit down, he was like, you don't mind if we split the bill, right? Oh. I mind. Because I'm such a fucking people pleaser, I was like, no, I don't mind. You know, I should have just left at that point. Honestly, I'm glad he said that, okay? Because then I know what kind of person he is. So after he said that, the mood just went... I was hoping like he at least had a nice personality so I can like at least have a good conversation. But it was horrible. So if you guys don't know, I lived in LA for like 5-ish years. He was like, ew, how did you survive the traffic? I was like, what? I was like, what's with the attitude? I was like, oh, it was fine. Like, I like after a while you get used to it. Like, I was telling him, I was like, oh, because I was in a sorority, like a lot of my friends are in the US, so like I miss the US a lot. Like, he was like, oh, so you pay? Like, how did you pay for that? Like, how much did you pay for that? I was like, I don't fucking know. He was like, yeah, that's not my thing. That's never, like, I would never do that. Okay, good for you. I don't fucking care. I was going mute. I was just like, yeah. Not once asked any questions about me. He was just like, oh, I went to Japan. Oh, Japan is so fun. Blah, 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 blah. Me. He ordered, like, the small drink, the $7 drink. He ordered that. I ordered the $14 drink, which is the upsized version of the drink. So he has one small drink. I have one upsized drink. I was just, like, sipping on mine, chilling. He was like, oh, let me just grab another drink. Okay, sure. So he got himself another drink that's the upsized one, which is the same as mine. So altogether, he has gotten 2 drinks. I've gotten 1 drink. Just keep that in mind. I think like 15 minutes in, I was texting my brother and that bitch did not respond. So I literally had to excuse myself to the bathroom. I called my mom. I was like, Ma, you have to tell me that there's a family emergency and that like I have to come home right now. Like, do something. Just get me home. I happily went back and I was like, oh my god, I'm so glad this date is coming to an end. Like, he's like a good looking guy and he's like really tall too, so like I don't know where this shit personality came from. Maybe because like he didn't have to like develop a personality because like he already has the height and the look, so maybe, I don't know. But anyway, so within the 10 minutes, my mom, Queen, she called me and she was like, you have to get home now, like your grandmother like passed out, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my god, what? I feel like he kind of knew it was fake. Just like, what are the fucking odds that my grandmother would pass out? I was acting my ass off. Let's rewind. Remember when I said he got 2 drinks and I got 1? So instead of us splitting the bill by each paying for what we got, we split the bill in half. So I had to pay for a part of his order. And I was, at that point, I was just like, I don't fucking care. I don't care. I just want to go home. I don't ever want to speak to this guy again. By the way, the bill came up to $40. You can't pick up a $40 bill. Then don't go on dates. Don't ask people out. Why don't you tell the person you're going out with, like, prior to the date that you want to split the bill? Like, if that's a thing for you, I feel like you should make that transparent. Even, like, before meeting up. Because that is so, like, that is so not chivalrous, and that is so not my type. Even, like, the waiter was like, oh, are you guys done? Like, when we asked for the check. Because it was that quick. I never thought this would happen to me. I only heard about, like, bad date stories online. And I guess I'm the lucky one today. Yay! I'm just gonna not date for a bit.
I want to hear about the worst date that you have ever been on because I feel like there's not many that can top this one. So when I was 19, I was dating around and I get set up by a work friend. She's like, I think that you should date this guy that I know. And I was like, okay, sure. So it was kind of like a blind date. Like, she showed me a picture of him, so I kind of knew what his face looked like generally, but like then she just gave me his number and we just like texted. And so we set up this date and he's like, you should come to me, like I have my own apartment, because he was like 21 or 22. I was like, great. And he lived on the top floor of this super big apartment complex. Like, it was like 15 or 20 stories. I don't know why I agreed to this, but he's like, yeah, meet me at my house, then like I'll take us to the date. Again, I'm 19, I hadn't dated very much, and I was like, okay, like sure, normal. And my friend from work like set us up, so I'm like, okay, I can trust this guy. So I get there and he's like, yeah, I live on the top floor, which I actually didn't know till I got there. So I'd run this creaky ass elevator all the way up to the top floor, which scared me. And I go up to his apartment door and like knock on it, which again, I know all of this sounds insane, but I was 19 and a little dumb and naive. I knock on his door and he opens the door, but when he answers it, he is so tall that like, he's literally like this tall, like this is what I can see. He's like this much taller than the top of the door frame. And I was like, and he goes like this, like out of it. He's like, come on in. Okay, great. I am like average on the short side. I'm like 5'3". So, you know, somebody 7 feet tall is like a little crazy next to me. And he's like, oh, take your shoes off. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I take my shoes off next to his shoes, which are so big that the only thing I could think of was to ask him what size they were. So I put my teeny tiny little Polly Pocket shoes next to his giant shoes, and he says, they're a size 21. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I have to have them custom made. And I was like, I bet you do. So he is like so nervous. And now I'm nervous because now I've met a giant in real life. And he's like, oh, do you want a drink? And I go, no, I'm only 19. And he's like, okay, yeah. And he's like clattering the wine glasses together. And he is so nervous, making me nervous. And I'm like, we should just go to dinner. He's like, okay, we're going to go to this sushi spot. I'm like, great. I love sushi. The sushi spot we went to was like in a downtown area, and the whole storefront is glass. So we get in his car and we're going to sushi. We like order our sushi. We sit down next to the windows. And this homeless man is outside, and he's like kind of pacing back and forth with like all of his stuff. Like you can tell he's homeless. He's pacing back and forth with all of his stuff, kind of like he's looking for something. And I'm just like, okay, I can't like make eye contact with him, but also like he's not gonna like come into this business either. I'm chatting with my date. The homeless man like looks at me, and he like acts like he recognizes me and like gets excited, and he like comes inside and like makes a beeline for me. And I'm like to my date, oh my God, like I don't know what's about to happen. This homeless guy's coming up to us. This homeless guy like comes straight up to me, and he was like, God sent me to you. And I was like, oh, okay, this is not good. And he like kind of tries to grab my hand, and I'm like, oh no. And he's like, no, I'm like not trying to scare you, but like God really sent me to you. He said like if you pulled out your wallet, I'm like, oh, here we go. He said if you pulled out your wallet, you would have the last $2 that I need to get like a bus ticket back to my family. And I'm like, I don't have any cash. And he's like, no, like God told me in your wallet will be $2. And I was like, no, like I'm not giving you money. I'm just trying to eat. My date is like, hey man, like go away. He's like trying to get him to go away. It's just so awkward and uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, like he really needs to go. And he's like, no. Like God told me to come to you specifically. And I'm like, okay, sure. And he's like, your first name starts with a K. And I'm like, whoa, first guess, like that's kind of crazy because yeah, it does. And he's like, and your last name starts with an S. And I'm like, what is going on? Because my last name started with an S. I was like, okay, you're really freaking me out. And so I'm like, okay, if I give you $2, like if I have $2, like will you go away? I'm like, but I don't carry cash, like I'm just going to have quarters. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so here's the weird part. I open my wallet and there's $2 bills in there. And I was like, okay, here, take my $2. And he's like, see, God told me like he was going to provide, like I needed to find you and you would give it to me. And now my date is like kind of freaked out too. I'm like, okay, will you leave now? And he's like, I just like want you to know, like really God sent me to you. I'm like, okay. He's like, points at my date. He's like, I know things about this man too. And I'm like, what? And this guy's like, yeah, what do you know about me? And he's like, oh, you used to write for a newspaper. This guy like turns white because like I didn't know he wrote for a newspaper. He like turns white and he's like, you need to go. And he like points at me and he's like, and you're gonna be like in healthcare, which like at the time I like wanted to go to school to be a doctor. So I was like, oh, that's so weird. I was like, please leave. And I'm getting like more freaked out by the second. He's like, okay, like that's fine. Like, you know, thank you. I have my $2. I'm going to get on the bus to go see my family. I am like so shaken up by this that I like turned to my date. I'm like, please get me in the car and like take me home. And he was like, no, we shouldn't end our date. I was like, no, I'm like really freaked out. That was like really weird. And I feel panicked and like uncomfortable. And I don't really know what's going on because that man like knew stuff about me. He's like, okay, so we start walking to the car. He was like, you know what's really weird? I used to write for the Chicago Tribune. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I find that really freaky. He's like, I'm a little freaked out too. I'm like, okay, please get me home. So now he's like a little freaked out, still nervous. I'm freaked out. And he's also upset because like I want to leave the date. So we get in his car and he is like so shaky. He like backs up and he slams into another car. And I just like break down and I'm like, no way, you just got us into an accident. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And I just start screaming at him. I'm like, get me back to my car now. So he takes me back to my car, like after the whole accident incident. I get back to my car and I leave. That should be the end of it, right? Well, it was the end of me like ever speaking to him because it freaked me out. Fast forward to like years later, I meet my now husband, and we got on the topic of his friends, and his friend he was talking about worked at this company, and it was the same company that this guy I had previously gone on a date with worked at. And I told him about this date story, and he tells his friend, he's like, oh my gosh, this girl I'm dating just told me about this guy. He used to work there, maybe he still works there, and this crazy date story. He relays it to his friend. His friend's like, there's no way. He's on my bowling league and we're bowling right now. He's like, this guy's literally 7 feet tall, and sends a picture of this guy. And it's the weirdest story ever. Like the freakiest date, and then like how somehow he was then connected to my now husband is just so funny. I just don't think anybody can really top this kind of date story.
Gather around while I tell you about the worst first date I've ever been on. So I matched with this guy on Bumble. He asked me out pretty quickly, which normally I like to talk for a few days just to make sure we're compatible first, but I was going through a really bad breakup and just kind of looking for a distraction, so I said okay. He had initially proposed a pretty fancy restaurant, and I said yeah, but then the day of, he texted and he was like, hey, Dave & Buster's just opened, would you rather go there instead? And I was like, absolutely. So we had planned to meet there at 6, but then at 5:30 he texted me and he was like, hey, I'm probably not going to be there until about 6:15 because I'm late getting off work. I was like, totally fine. So I'm walking out the door at 5:50 to get to the restaurant at 6:15. And he texts me as I'm walking out the door, and he's like, oh, I got off work on time after all. I can still be there at 6. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to be there until 6:15. He's like, why? I was like, well, I left later because you told me you were going to get there later. And he's like, well, what am I supposed to do for 15 minutes by myself at the restaurant? And I was like, I don't know. I told him I was going to get there at 6:15 because that's what he had changed it to. So he calls me at 6:10 and he's like, am I getting stood up? And I was like, no, I said I'd be there at 6:15. Like, I'm 5 minutes away. He's like, oh, I'll go inside and get a table. And I was like, okay, should have just gone home. Lesson learned. So he goes inside to get a table. So I get inside. He's already at the table. He has a beer in front of him and he says he's ordered 2 appetizers for us, mini quesadillas and pretzels with cheese dip. He's like, is that okay? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. He has his beer and he's like, did you want anything to drink? So I start looking over the menu and he's like, loudly, he's like, did you notice that there's no prices on this menu? I had to ask the waitress the price of every single drink on this menu, and it's so expensive, you might as well just go pregame somewhere else, because like this is crazy. But like, did you want a drink? And I was like, nope, just water's fine. So the appetizers come, the 2 that he picked out before I even got there, and I'm not super hungry, I'm just kind of nibbling on them. He eats most of them, and then he's like, I'm still hungry, do you care if I get an entree? And I'm like, no, of course not. And he's like, well, you should pick one for me. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cute, like, I guess. So I start looking at the menu, and he's like, it has to be really low in calories because I have a 1,200 calorie per day limit that I have to stay under. And I'm like, you picked Dave & Buster's, you picked the appetizers, what? So I'm like, okay, you should get the sliders. And the waitress comes over and she's like, did you want anything else? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna get the sliders and I'm gonna get a second beer because it's happy hour. She's like, okay. She walks off and she comes right back and she goes, oh, happy hour is actually over, but I can still get you that beer for full price if you want. And he holds up his phone and it says $6.59 and he's like, happy hour is not over. I want the happy hour price. She's like, well, our computer says it's 7:01 and that's what we have to go off of, but did you still want that beer for full price? And he's like, no, I want you to go talk to your manager. And she's like, okay. So she leaves. I'm mortified. He's already asked her the price of every single drink and now he's doing this, but like, okay. So she comes back over and she's like, okay, I talked to the manager and he's going to go ahead and give you that happy hour price. So it'll be $1 off your beer for happy hour. And he's like, okay. And I was like, $1? It's $1 off for happy hour. And this is how you're acting? Like, it's never okay to act like this, but for $1? So while we're waiting for his sliders, we're chatting and he's like, so what do you like? What do you like to do? And I was like, I like to travel. And he's like, oh, like, where are you? Do you have a trip planned? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Vegas in a couple weeks. And he's like, oh, like with family? And I was like, no, just by myself. And he goes, by yourself? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, that seems kind of pathetic. And I was like, no, I really like traveling by myself, actually. And he's like, well, where else have you gone by yourself? And I was like, well, I went to Disney World. And he's like, you went to Disney as an adult? And was like flabbergasted. So I was like, okay, so what do you like to do? And he's like, well, I like to travel. And I was like, okay, to where? And he tells me the name of a lake that's like an hour away, and then gets out his phone and proceeds to show me at least, like, no joke, several hundred photos of this lake. It was just like the same picture of the lake over and over and over, and like the same picture of a fish over and over and over, like for like 15 or 20 minutes. I was like, So then he's like, does your family live here? And I'm like, yeah, my whole family's here. And he's like, yeah, me too. That's why I get paid so much more than people my age, because it pays to have a dad who owns his own company. Like, that's why I make so much money. And I was like, okay. He goes, do you have any nieces or nephews? I was like, yeah, I have 3 nephews. And he goes, how many siblings do you have? And I said, I have 1 sister. He goes, oh, so obviously she's married. And I was like, nope, she's a single mom. And he goes, 3 kids and she's a single mom. And I was like, yep, that's how life works out sometimes, I guess. And he goes, well, what does she look like? So at this point, the waitress comes over and she's got the check and she's like, did you want to buy a game card? And he's like, yeah, because it's half price game night, right? And she's like, yes, but the cards still cost the same. The games just cost half the amount. So like, you're still paying $20 for a $20 game card, but games that cost like 10 tokens will now cost 5 or whatever. And he's like, but I thought it was half price. And so she explains again, and I'm just like, oh God. So he was like, did you want to play games? And I did not know what to say. And so I was like, sure, hoping I could just like get us out of there. So I got the cheapest option, and my plan was to go to the most expensive games and just like run us out as quick as I could and dip. So one of my go-to games that costs a lot of tokens or whatever is Deal or No Deal. So I head over to Deal or No Deal and I start playing, and he's just like making these little comments the whole time I'm playing, and I ended up, whatever I ended up with, he was like, oh, that's a shame you only got that amount. And I was like, okay. And he's like, well, let me show you how it's done. And I was like, it's a game of luck, but all right. So he picks a case, and the first case he picks, it's the $500,000 case. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, interesting reaction, but okay. And like, as the game is going, like the higher number he picks, the more excited, like he just keeps getting more and more excited. And so finally I'm like, you only have like the $1, the $2, and the $1 million case left. Like, why are you so excited about this? He's like, well, because the way that you play the game is by finding the $1 million case. And I was like, nope, that's not the point. That's not how you play the game. And he's like, yeah, I think I know what I'm doing. And I was like, okay. At any rate, I was able to run us out of tokens pretty quickly. Immediately was like, okay, I gotta go. No hug, no handshake, no nothing. I was just like, okay, thanks. Have a good night. And left. That was like October, November, and I didn't hear from him again until February, when out of nowhere he texted me, and I deleted his number the day of the date, and he was like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, who is this? And he sends me a selfie, and he's like, it's so-and-so. I just wanted to catch up. How was Vegas? And I was just like, LOL, and blocked him. Okay, that was one of my worst first dates, but like, don't get mad at me when I show up at the time you changed it to. Get mad at me about the amount of calories in the food at the place you picked. Insult my sister, insult my hobbies, brag about how well off you are, and then mansplain Deal or No Deal to me, really, really wrong. Like,
get ready with me while I talk about a time I went on a Tinder date with a looks maxer and got catfished. So for some context, we met on the double date feature of Tinder, but my friend and his friend weren't really texting on that group chat, so we just ended up adding each other on Snap and then snapping each other for like 6 months. He kept asking me out like on dates and stuff, but I just really de-gaff and like I don't really have the time for dates and stuff like that. But one day I was just kind of bored, so I asked him if he wanted to go and grab some ramen with me. So mind you, the only time I saw this guy's face is over Snapchat when we were snapping for the 6-month period, or over occasional FaceTimes and on his TikTok account here as well. I wouldn't say he's like known on TikTok, but he has a pretty large following where he posts like his looks max stuff and like thirst traps and like advice on how to like get better, I guess. So keep in mind that this guy lives in Fort Lauderdale and I live in Miami, so it's like around an hour drive, give or take. And after I texted him saying that I wanted to grab like lunch with him, it takes him like an hour to get ready and then an hour to like actually like come here and drive to me. So he texts me, he arrives, and I go down to his car and I say hi to him. He looks nothing like his TikToks, let me tell you. This guy is like catfishing maxing. And the wrong place that we were going to was downtown, which is like around 20 to 30 minutes for me. And the entire car ride, we're just not speaking. Like, he's just blasting like SD Kid, Blade, like Opium as hell shit. I'm like, okay. So we get to the wrong place. He gets out of the car. Keep in mind, he said he was 6'3". I'm 5'10". That hoe was 2 apples tall. He was driving like a little Mercedes or whatever car he was driving. He didn't even reach like the top hood of the car. Like, that bitch was short. He was maybe like 5'6" at most. Mind you, 5'10". So we go inside. The place is like low-key booming because it's like a new ramen spot. So they have to sit us at the high tops. We get the menus and he's like, wait. I'm like, order maxing right now. The fuck? So every time he like does something or like says something, he's like, oh, I'm this maxing, I'm that maxing, I'm... Bitch, how about you shut the fuck up maxing at this point? Like, just go nonverbal again. So we both order our food, we both get like a bowl of ramen, and in the time span that we're waiting for our food, he like starts over analyzing me on like my looks and like what I need to change and like max or whatever, and he's talking about like, your maxilla is recessed. What the fuck is a maxilla? Like, and at this point, like, I'm mad irritated, like, where the food at? So then he like goes on his phone and he starts like thirst trapping in like that freaking angle that he does where he catfishes the fuck out of people. And he's like thirst trapping to like looks maxing audios, like while I'm sitting like right next to him. So our food ends up coming after what feels like forever. I start eating my food and this guy genuinely goes, wait, you're big maxing right now. The fuck do you mean I'm big maxing right now? I'm eating my ramen. Ho, what are you talking about? And over the period of us eating our food, like, we're just like not really talking. And anytime he would say something, it's to say that I'm something maxing, this maxing. And then at some point he literally asked me, he's like, oh, how does it feel like to go like out on a date with a TikToker? Bitch, fuck you and your TikTok. What are you talking about? You're not a celebrity. Like, I'm not on a date with Michael B. Jordan right now. Like, I'm mad confused. Like, just shut the fuck up and eat your food. Like, so we finish eating our food. He gets like the tap to pay thing. He taps in and he's like, wait, why am I brand maxing right now? So we finish eating, paid, and then we get up and like he's cracking jokes the entire time, talking about I'm this maxing, I'm that mogging. Like, so I thought it was my turn to crack a joke. So I'm like, yo, why am I hype mogging right now? He did not find that shit funny. He literally looked me dead in the face and was like, the fuck is wrong with you? You told me you were 6'3", ho. What the fuck do you mean what's wrong with me? I'm 5'10", you're 5'6". Like, yes, I'm hype mogging you right now, and I'm actually being dead ass too. We get in the car, it's like mad silent, he's playing his Blade, whatever, and it's like rush hour, so it takes us like 40 minutes to get back to my apartment instead of the usual 20. We get back to my apartment, he's like, can I come upstairs? Fuck no! Fuck no! What the fuck do you mean can I come upstairs? No, like, no. So then I'm like, oh, like, my roommates are home, and like, I just don't think that they would be comfortable with that. Bitch, I live in a studio. I don't got roommates. So I leave his car, I go back to my apartment, I open my phone, and it's a large paragraph of him analyzing me and what I need to change, giving me advice on this, and that, saying I gotta do my eyebrows like this, gotta do my lashes like that, I gotta fix my recessed maxilla. Still don't know what the fuck a recessed maxilla is, but okay. And I still to this day don't know if he was like trolling me or like being dead ass and trying to give me advice of what I need to change, even though I didn't ask for that shit, but okay. Nonetheless, that shit was weird as fuck, so I found some hype boosters off of Amazon. I just sent him the link to it. But take this as your sign to not go on Tinder dates with looks maxers because they will catfish you. They're not as tall as they say. But I was just mad hungry and I wanted to go try their own place downtown, so it was free food for me. Thank you guys for listening to my story time. Peace.
I've been dating this guy for about 8 months now, and I made the horrible decision of getting comfortable using the bathroom around him. Not number one, number two. So my rule of thumb is to try to make it very quick, okay? A very quick process, in and out. You barely even know that I was gone. So I go to the bathroom, I'm thinking it's gonna be a quick little trip. I'm using the bathroom, and then it's suddenly 2 minutes turns to 3 minutes, 3 minutes turns to 4 minutes, and I'm constipated, okay? It's taking a minute to come out. Finally, plops down into the toilet. Thank God. I went to go flush it. It's stuck. Not flushing. I audibly go, oh, no. He hears me from outside the bathroom. He goes, is everything okay? I said, oh, it's fine. It wasn't fine. I tried flushing again, was not flushing. So then I leave the bathroom and I look at him and I'm like, hey, do you have a plunger? He gives me his plunger. He's like, do you need my help with anything? I said, no, it's okay, I got it. I go back in, try plunging it. And this is not a regular plunger. Do you know what a regular plunger looks like? This is not a regular plunger. For some reason, this plunger is like a plunger, but then it like curves under and there's like a hole with, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's not a regular plunger. So I'm plunging, and as I'm plunging, it gets stuck in the plunger. So mind you, again, my shit came out like a rock. And at this point, the rock is turning into pebbles and it's stuck in the plunger. So I'm trying to like shake it out, flip it upside down, flip it around, trying to get this shit out of the plunger, but it keeps getting stuck inside of the plunger. So I'm like, oh my God, this cannot be happening right now. So then I leave the bathroom and I go, do you have gloves? And he goes, What's going on? Like, are you sure I can just leave it there? I will take care of it. No, you are not taking care of it. Do you have gloves? He proceeds to give me 2 Ziploc bags. And he zips me up. And I was like, okay. And I went back in and I handled my business. But I think my brain is already trying to block this out because the way I literally forgot about this until right now. Yeah, I did handle my business, girl. That's all I gotta say. And I don't think I will be using the bathroom at his place for a very long time. Okay.
Just hooking up with people because you never know, you know? You never know.
I have a new dating horror story and it just happened and it's still bothering me, but I need to get it out. Keep in mind, this was just over a week long. Like, this whole thing, it was a whirlwind. I went on a first date on a Thursday. Really good first date, really nice guy. We bantered well, we got along well. We just it just felt really good, and I haven't had that in a really long time. I find dating horrendous and just really difficult, but he was just awesome and very adult, mature man. We went to London House in Chicago. It was really good. Got really good food, good drinks. We went on the rooftop for a bit. Really nice. He literally walked me to his car that was parked by in a garage and drove me home and kissed me goodnight, and it's just really good chemistry, really great. So then the next Thursday, we go on our second date. We go to another rooftop bar in downtown Chicago. Again, really good conversation. We're on the same page with a lot of different things, and he was just a very good listener, and I have a very strong personality. I'm very direct, and he took that really well, but he was also able to do that back to me. And again, just really good chemistry, and just such a gentleman. Opened my car door for me, would kiss my hand when we held hands. It just felt really good. I went over to his place that night and hung out, and then I actually ended up sleeping over because I was just too tired to go home. And really, again, in the morning we got up, he drove me back to my place, he parked there, and we went and got breakfast by me, and it was really fun. So third date, not really, I don't know what you would call it, whatever. So this is Friday morning. I say bye to him, and then we had a plan to go out tonight, Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever. But we were also talking about all these other things we want to do for dates, like kayaking, escape rooms. We wanted to go to a Cubs game sometime this summer. Clearly we were talking about more than just a couple dates. We're future stuff, not future, but you know what I mean. And so I was oh, this is great. Things are falling into place. I'm finally meeting someone I really like that checks all my boxes, whatever. I hear from him throughout Friday, and then I don't hear from him all the day on Saturday on the 4th, and I'm because I knew he was with his friends, and I try not to be a freak about texting. I know everyone has their phone time, and people are not as attached to their phone as I am, or whatever, and I really don't expect someone to text me all day, but I do expect someone I'm talking to at least say hi or check in. And so I still hadn't heard from him, so by Sunday morning I messaged him. I'm hey, I just was being direct, and I was hey, I just want to say, I hope you had a good 4th, but I would really like to hear from you a little bit more, just check in. I'm not saying you have to talk to me all the time, but, I'm just hyper aware when someone's not messaging me when I'm talking to, and I've been ghosted enough, and I try not to get in my head about it, but I do. And I think that's fair, and I said it very nicely. I wasn't, yelling at him or anything. 20 minutes later, he texts me. He's hey, sorry, so on Friday night when I went out to watch the World Cup game, I actually ran into my ex, and we had an awkward conversation, but we decided to get back together. I was oh, and this is an ex he told me about that they broke up a year ago, last July. They're long distance for a bit. The long distance is what broke them up mainly, and probably some other stuff, whatever, but I know that was a big factor. So he said she was back in town. I don't know if that means she lives here again. I don't know. Threw me for a loop because again, they broke up a year ago, and I get it. They have a way longer relationship than me and him did. Obviously, it just really I was oh, that's not what I was expecting. And it's upsetting. It was upsetting because again, we clicked really fast, and I just haven't felt that natural with someone in a while. So I'm quite sad in that sense, but I do get it to an extent. Yeah. So. Every one of my girlfriends I've told this story to, they're I'd go into psychosis. I'm I probably am right now, but yeah, that one you don't hear as often, especially again when, like, from what I knew, didn't have any contact with her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just horrendous timing. I'm like, oh my god, if I had just waited, not even gone on a fucking date with him, I wouldn't have had to meet him. Yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling in the sense too that, like, going back into dating, like, he did a lot of stuff that, like, guys just don't do anymore because the art of dating is fucking dead and lost. And I've come to realize that I like some of that traditional stuff. Not trad wife, don't get me wrong, not trad wife in any sense, but just, like, being chivalrous and a gentleman. Like, that's just not as common anymore, and I do enjoy that. And that's just me. That's my preference. But yeah, that was upsetting. And I'm going to get margaritas tonight, so that's how it's going. Also, I'd like to point out, I'm like, wow, you were in bed with me Thursday night, Friday morning, and probably in bed with her by Friday night. Did you even change the sheets between us? No, you did not. You're still a male. You did not, but that's also skipping me out. It's fine. We're fine.
I don't know how many times I told y'all to stop using these dating apps, but I'm so happy y'all don't listen, because I got a story time for y'all. My Facebook online daters, my Christian minglers, my Match.comers. So this story submission came straight out of Houston, Texas, and honestly, I forgot to ask her for her name, but she doesn't want to remain anonymous, so I will be tagging her down below. But we're just going to call her Mariana for this story. Now, this was a long story, and I'm going to try to shorten it as much as I can, but just expect there to be parts. So Mariana said that she had been on Facebook dating, and she had found this guy on there. Now, keep in mind that her and this guy probably had only been talking all the 5 days. But y'all, within the 5 days of them talking, shit just got really messy really quick. For the sake of the story, we're just gonna call the guy Jose. So Mariana said that one day she was just scrolling through her Facebook dating app and she ended up matching with Jose. They start talking and they hop on the phone. Now she said that Jose was really, really sweet, very kind, and she didn't see any red flags immediately. So she's thinking like, okay, maybe Adam caught me one. But of course, naturally, they on the phone, they caking it up, they chatting, and everything is going good. They ended up talking for about 4 hours. Fair enough. So Mariana gets up the next day, she goes to work. Now, Mariana works with children, and because of HIPAA laws, she can't really be on her phone like that. And so, naturally, she just really didn't check her phone all day. So when she finally got a chance to sit down, Mariana realizes that Jose had been blowing up her phone literally all day. And that very sweet, kind person that she thought she met, yeah, he showed her his whole ass. He gets to telling this girl how fake she is, that she needs to go off herself. Everybody has a phone and a smartwatch nowadays. You could have texted me, but you just didn't want to. And so Mariana is like, dude, literally, I'm at work. So at this point, Mariana is kind of like realizing this is not going to work. Just as quickly as this thing fizzled in, it's fizzing out. So she goes to tell Jose, like, look, you know what? Don't worry about it. This is just really not even going to work out between you and I. I'm over it. So now Jose is back at it again, blowing up Mariana's phone, telling her, like, you're mine. Are you going to leave me? Like, what's your problem? Jose even goes even deeper into his delusions. Like, you're supposed to be my girl. You're supposed to be the one for me. So naturally, Mariana is just kind of like, this is a turnoff, obviously. But she goes and explains, like, listen, I work with children. I can't be on my phone all day. She's aware that everybody has a phone, everybody has a smartwatch, but she takes her job seriously. So she's not going to be texting and typing on her phone all day, respectfully. So Jose continues to call her fake, throws all these names at her, and she decides, like, I'm not even going to continue to text him. Like, I'm over it. So Mariana thinks this is the end of it, right? Wrong. She wakes up the next morning, and to her surprise, Jose is extremely apologetic. Basically like, listen, Mariana, I don't know what I was thinking about. I don't know what got into me. I just don't want you to leave me like other people have. He gets to telling Mariana that he has abandonment issues. And, he likes her. He doesn't want her to go off and find someone else. And he's like, can you give me another chance, Mariana? Now, I'm going to just pause the story for a quick second. Y'all have got to listen to people when they talk. And sometimes you got to listen to what people don't say. He said that he had abandonment issues. What he didn't say was that he is very dependent on other people and he relies on them to make him happy. So that's already a toxic situation. Let's jump back in. So Mariana is taken back by this apology. She figures, you know what, he got his act together. Let me just give him another chance. Maybe he's just triggered, right? So after that, Mariana and Jose kind of get back into the gist of things. Like everything is starting to go good. They're communicating. They're getting closer, you know, telling each other little things about themselves. And she's just like, maybe he was just overwhelmed with the fact that they had this really good connection and then she just goes ghost, right? Giving this man benefit of the doubt. Don't do that no more. So now Mariana and Jose, they back to chatting, they caking, they just, you know, they talking. And so he gets to telling her, I'm going to have to give my contacts a break, put them in a solution, and wear my glasses for a while, you know? So then he gets to making little jokes and was like, yeah, my friends say I look like Jeffrey Dahmer with my glasses on. Is you cool? So Mariana, you know, she's joking back with him, and she's like, oh my God, Jeffrey Dahmer is so fine. What? I don't see it, but to each his own. So Mariana like, yeah, he fine as hell. Y'all tell me why Jose just starts crashing out on Mariana. So imagine I'm Jose. He like, hey, why the fuck would you say that? You supposed to be my girl. Why would you say some stupid shit like that? Mind you, y'all. They've been talking all of 5 days. Girl, he is cussing Mariana out from A to Z. Like, that's so disrespectful. Why would you call another man fine in my face? Like, what the fuck? And so Mariana is like taken aback because she like, if you would have said Selena Gomez is fine, like, I wasn't gonna be tripping. Because in her mind, it's like, these people are unattainable. Like, I'm never gonna meet these people in real life. And let's be real. Like, but let's talk about the fact that why would he compare himself to Jeffrey Dahmer? Like, that's a red flag for me. I mean, it's a lot of red flags, but that's like ding, ding, ding. So Mariana is like, look, I'ma just call you later. Cause you tripping. You crashing out. You doing too much, cussing me out from A to Z. And he like, Jose like, hold up. You ain't gonna fix this? So you just gonna let me be mad? Y'all comment for part 2, cause we gonna keep it short and cute. I'll be tagging her in the comments below. Her real name is not Mariana. I'm sorry. I forgot to ask you for your name. Don't kill me. I don't know how many times I need to tell y'all to stop using these dating apps. But hopefully by the end of part 2, y'all will know better. So just a little quick update. I told y'all I didn't have her real name. So she did manage to give me her real name. I am going to be tagging her in the comments below. So instead of calling her Mariana, we're just going to call her Mari. So when we left off on the part where Jose has lost his marbles, he's cussing this girl out from A to Z because she said that Jeffrey Dahmer was fine as hell. But he also compared himself to Jeffrey Dahmer, which is weird. But let's get back into it. So after that, Mari is pretty much like, okay, you're blowing this out of proportion. My bad. You got it. All right, so fast forward. It's the same night that the incident took place. And Mari needs to go get some toilet paper for her mom. So before she goes to the store, she go ahead and let Jose know, hey, I'm going to go to the store and get some tissue for my mom. So Mari finally gets to the store and now Jose is calling her. So basically Jose calling Mari like, hey, where you at? Mari reiterates, I'm going to get some toilet paper for my mom. So he's like, you could just leave that there. I can give you some toilet paper. We got more than enough toilet paper here. I'll just give you a few rolls. So Mari is like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, like, don't worry about it. But in the midst of all of this, Mari mom is like, no, I need my own full 12-pack. Understandably so, because baby, we don't take stuff from other people's house. You gotta watch who you get stuff from, okay? Especially stuff like toilet paper. On top of that, Mari mom was already not with the shits because she had told Mari earlier that morning to go get the tissue. So at this point, ain't no waiting around on somebody. Go to the store and get my tissue. So Mari calls Jose back and she's like, look, I don't think I can wait. I'm gonna just run down to the corner store real quick and get me some rolls of toilet paper. Just a little FYI. So he's like, okay, cool. Well, you can do that, but I'm still gonna give you the toilet paper. Fair enough. So now after she gets the toilet paper from the corner store, she decides to meet Jose at her apartment complex. So Mari decides she don't really want him to know where she live. So she tells Jose to meet her at the rent office. So mind you, y'all, this is Mari and Jose first time meeting in person. Because again, they've been on this Facebook dating, they've been on the phone, texting, all of that good stuff.
So y'all, mind you, this is their first time meeting in person. They've been on the Facebook dating, they've been on FaceTime, they've been talking on the phone, but they have not met before. So Mari says that when she finally gets to see Jose, this man is like 5 foot. He's super skinny, so she can wrap her arms basically around his entire body. He gives her like a kiss on the cheek and gives her toilet paper. So if you read in between the lines, you can already tell Mari is kind of like, this ain't gonna work. But Jose, oh y'all, he thinking something totally different. He like, oh my God, you're so pretty. Like he feel like he done bagged someone, y'all. So Mari is already looking at this as a red flag. This is just not really her type. And that being said, it's already about 10 o'clock. It's late. She just tells him she'll call him later. He's like, okay, I'll be expecting your call. So fast forward, Mari gets home, gives her mom the toilet paper, and then her and her mom get to talking, you know. But time is steady flying by. She looks up, it's 2 o'clock. Now, she realizes she forgot to call Jose. At this point, Jose is calling. And y'all already know, Jose ain't happy. He like, hello? What you been up to? What you been doing this whole time? You just had me waiting? And so Mari's like, oh yeah, I was just talking to my mom. We just got in deep conversation. Jose is not having it. He's like, it don't take that long to talk to your mom. What could y'all have possibly been talking about? Why were y'all talking for so long? Like, they on FaceTime and she's just kind of looking like, what? He's like, yeah, you're not supposed to be like that with your mom. Now, I don't know about y'all, but me and my mama be popping our gums, okay? Not quite sure what Jose's malfunction is, but it sounds like he's lost his mind. So y'all, Jose gets to going on this whole spiel, like, she's not supposed to have that much of your time. Your mom's not supposed to have that much attention. You're supposed to be paying all of your attention to me. Like, real life telling this girl, like, she's supposed to be having her full undivided attention on him, period. So Mari is like, what is wrong with you? Like, that's my mom. And if we were to be in a relationship, you have to know, like, that's where I'm drawing the line. That's my mom. And Mari gets to telling him, like, my mom comes first. I'm not going to just leave her out in the cold for you. Yeah, Jose is a fool. He going to tell this girl, no. If we were in a relationship, you're mine. So Jose gets to tell Mari, like, listen, you're not going to be seeing your mom every day. You're going to be out the house with me. You're supposed to be my girlfriend. You're my wife. Mind you, y'all, they've only been talking all of 5 days. Mari ends the conversation letting him know, like, that's not how this go. And he was just super weird about it. They ended up falling asleep on FaceTime. Mind you, y'all, I don't know if Mari forgot, but Jose knows where she lives. He may not know that door number, but he knows her apartment complex. And that's going to be very important in part 3. If you have an interesting, spooky, unbelievable story that you want me to tell, feel free to DM me below.
Imagine going on a trip with your sister. Things are going great. You're having a blast. You meet a guy. You guys go out to dinner a couple times. Like, things are going good. But then you find out that he was only feeding you so that you could feed him, literally. Story time. Let us begin. This is another story time that kept me awake at night, so you guys already know the drill. If I'm awake, you're awake. I also want to add that I'm resharing these stories just to spread awareness and ensure that women are just taking an extra step and being safe. I'm not saying that women should not solo travel and have fun on their own. It's just we have to be extra careful because this world is cruel. Okay, let's name the sisters Bella and Stacy. So Bella and Stacy are from America and they travel overseas to go on a vacation. I'm not really sure the place that they went, but they just wanted to enjoy life, okay? They were young, beautiful girls. So they're only there for a couple of days. So obviously they're going outside having fun. And Bella meets a guy named Nick on one of the days where she was at the bar. And they hit it off, like they were having a blast. They were talking, vibing. Bella and Nick have gone on a couple of dates. Every single date has been them eating out. And Bella's noticing that he just wants her to eat. Like, he's really making sure that she's full. Me personally, I would love that because, oh, like, you want to make sure I'm well fed. No, it's a red flag now. On all these dates, he's been insinuating for her to come over to his house. And obviously, she didn't want to go over on the first couple of dates because she's like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to be easy. On the last day, he was pushing extra hard. He's like, oh, you should come over. Like, oh my God, it's your last day. Like, you need to come over. And she got creeped out. So he's pushing too hard for her liking. So she calls her sister Stacy and kind of fakes an emergency and goes the fuck home. That call that she made to her sister to go home saved her life. That was their last day on vacation. So
They left, went back to America, and once she got to America, she felt this rash on her back. So she went to the dermatologist. It's so icky! She's obviously not thinking much of it. She just, gets her testing and lets the dermatologist know to let her know once there's any results, and goes about her business, goes about her day. I forgot to mention that Bella is a university student, so she was on campus on her way to school, and her dermatologist calls her and says, listen, Bella, you need to come to my clinic right now. The police are here, and I cannot tell you this over the phone. So she goes. And when she gets there, she does not see the police. She sees the FBI. So she's obviously standing there like, what is going on? And her dermatologist lets her know that the rash on her back was by a cream that was used for cannibalism. Yeah, people who eat other people. So once Bella gave these people the details that they needed, they raided his apartment and found limbs and bones of missing women, whether it was tourists, women that were already from there, just missing women from months and years ago. He was going on dates with them, feeding them, which is why he was feeding Bella like that, because he wanted her to be nice and juicy for when he was about to eat her. Oh, so just please be safe when you go out there. Don't just trust anybody and go over to their homes, because he could really just oil you up, give you a nice oil massage so that your skin can disintegrate so he can eat you. That is all. I love you guys. Be safe. Bye.
Here's how evil men can be. So 2 years ago, I was heavily in my sprinkle era. I was going to like little restaurant bars twice a week, networking, making connections. So, and don't take that wink for anything. It's not like no or like weird stuff like that. I was literally connecting, okay? Anyway, I ended up meeting this guy. He like bought me a drink from across the bar, came over, started talking, and anyway, we're really hitting it off. But when you're talking to a middle-aged man, you have to look at his hands always. So I was like, clocked it, he's married. And I'm like, you're married? And he's like, oh, I'm going through this really nasty divorce right now, custody battle, all the things. And I honestly felt really bad for him, low-key. Like the way he was telling the story, mind you, I was at a certain age. This was 2 years ago, so if you know how old I am, then that's how old I was. He gives me like the whole rundown on that, and we did shift the conversation because it was a lot to unpack, like a very heavy conversation. I've never really talked to someone going through a messy, horrible divorce in that way. So we probably talked that night for like 4 or 5 hours, like literally like drink, yap. Here's when things take a turn. So when I got home that night, I ended up doing a full background check on him. And tell me why, baby, there is no wife. There is no kids. There's no nothing. You're gonna be like, wait, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I went on this man's Facebook, Instagram, radio silence. Not radio silence, by the way. I'm telling you, there is no trace of a wife, of kids, background check. He's never been married. There's no children. Honestly, in my mind, I felt that he could possibly be lying. So I'm like, if he's lying, let me go on his page so I can expose him and tell his wife. There was no one to expose him to. I ended up telling this story to someone recently. They said that some men have this sick, kinky, weird fantasy. Like, men basically enjoy the fact that a woman would get with them knowing they're married. Just know that men are sick and deluded, and something's really wrong with some of them. Because what the frick do you mean?
I'm so sorry that I kept you guys waiting, but I seriously was living the situation up until a couple of hours ago. Quick recap, I went out with a guy that I matched with on Hinge on Saturday night, and it ended up going absolutely terrible. So it's me and my friend. He tells us to show up to his Airbnb at a certain time to pregame with like all the rest of his friends. Right when we get there, off the bat, the vibes are off. There's like 3 other girls there. They're getting ready. I introduce myself. Like, I walk up the stairs, and I'm like, hi guys, like, I'm Winnie, nice to meet you, because I'm not the bitch that's not about to say hi. When they said hi, it was just like very cold, very annoying. And the Hinge match kept saying like, God, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm sorry that I had to bring you guys into this vibe. Let's go up to the roof and just like drink there. So we go up to the rooftop. He's chatting about how it's his birthday, how he had rented this Airbnb, and how they were being absolutely terrible. Like, they didn't care that it was his birthday. They didn't want to go to any of the places that he wanted to go. And I felt really bad. So me and my friend, we were like, look, just hang out with us. Like, we're going to go out, we're going to have a good time, and we're going to celebrate your birthday. I did start to notice, though, that he was starting to pay more attention to my friend, like ask her more questions and just be a little bit more intrigued in her life. It's not really important to the story, but I just wanted to give you guys, like, the vibes. So it's me, my friend, Hinge guy, his friend. He really wanted to go to this club called Havana. So it's his birthday. We're like, you know, we're going to do whatever you want to do. His friend calls the Uber. We go down from the roof and we leave and we get in the Uber. The moment we get out of the Uber, I realize that I didn't have my purse. So I'm looking around for my purse. I'm looking at them. I'm like, guys, I don't have my purse. The Uber is driven away. Can you try messaging the Uber? I'm talking to his friend at this point because his friend's the one that called the Uber. Like, can you try messaging him and asking him if the purse is in there? He's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. But chances are your purse is probably in the house. You probably left it there or you probably left it on the rooftop. I was like, you know what? You know, at this point I was a little bit tipsy. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, probably. Honestly, it's probably there. So like, no big deal. I also really did not want to ruin this man's birthday and make it about myself. So I was kind of just like, okay, like hopefully it's at the house. It probably is. And then we can just have a good night. We're at Havana. We're having a good time. I kind of noticed that like at this point that he's like really interested in my friend. So I'm starting to just get like turned off. I'm like, okay, like whatever, you know, it is what it is. After a couple hours, we were lit. We were like, let's head back to the Airbnb. And here's where shit got stressful because it escalated so fast. The moment we get back to his Airbnb, he's like, shh, shh, be quiet. You have to be quiet. The girls are sleeping. Like, don't say a peep. Like, don't say a word. He's not even letting us stay in the house. He's literally saying, go back up to the roof where it's cold as hell. We were drinking. He's like, shh, shh. Every little thing we say, if we giggle, if we talk, he would be like, shh, shh, shh. Meanwhile, we weren't even being loud. Like, we were trying to be as respectful as we possibly could be. But it was the fact that every little noise we made, this man was like, guys, you guys are being too loud. It was like, honestly, it just gave me, like, it gave me the ick. Like, we get up to the roof, we're talking, we're telling him, like, how cold we are and how we want to go back inside. And so he's like, fine, like, let's go downstairs. I'm thinking he's going to take us to the kitchen. No. He takes us down one flight of stairs because there's 3 flights of stairs in this condo. It's like layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 rooftop. He takes us down the first flight of stairs and like pushes us into his room and locks the door and like closes the door. It was at this moment that I remembered that I still hadn't found or looked for my purse. So I tell him, I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot to look for my purse. Have you talked to the Uber? I look at his friend and I'm like, hey, have you talked to the Uber driver? Have you heard anything? He's like, no, I haven't heard anything. I'm like, can I go and like look in your kitchen? Maybe I left it on the roof. He looks me dead in my eye and is like, shh, shh, no, you can't, no. I'm looking at him in shock and disbelief. I'm like, what do you mean no? I need to find my purse. My keys to my home are in there and the keys to my car are in there. If I don't find them, like I'm literally stuck. He proceeds to tell me again, no, I'm sorry, but you can't go look. By this point, his friend had left the room and disappeared. It had been like 20 or 30 minutes now. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, can we try to contact the Uber? Like, can we please do something? Because us just sitting here and you guys just staring at me is stressing me out. Like, I'm getting nervous. Like, I need to find my shit. At this point, I'm starting to cry. Him and my friend are sitting on the bed. I'm like scooched into a corner, like balled up, crying. Him and my friend are looking at me like I'm fucking insane. I am pleading with this man to please let me go check the roof. Let me go check the kitchen. Like, let me just leave this room. And he's still saying no. At this point, I don't feel like my friend is supporting me at all, and it's 2 against 1, and I'm feeling very, very ganged up on. So I'm like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to the bathroom because there was a bathroom attached to the room. I'm like, and you guys can sit here, and I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and I'm gonna call Corey, my baby daddy. I go into the bathroom because talking to them is not helping. I am still drunk and I'm trying my hardest to still be respectful to this man. So I go into the bathroom, I call Corey crying. Corey is like stressed out. He's like, what's going on? What's happening? I'm telling him what's happening. I'm like, I'm trying to tell them I need to find my keys. I need to find my car keys, you know, and my house keys because I can't get into my house. Like I'm explaining this to Corey. Corey's like, I don't understand. Like, what's the issue? Like, why can't you look for your shit? And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, no one's listening to me, dude. Not even my friend. Like, she wasn't even listening to me. Yes, I was intoxicated, but at the same time, like, I was still very much aware that I needed to find my shit. My friend whips open the bathroom door and she's like, we can hear you talking out here. Like, we can hear you talking shit. And I'm like, okay, but you guys are not helping me. So I had to call Corey to be like, hey, come help me because they're not helping me. I felt like no one was listening to me. It was giving like angry black women freaking out for no reason. At that point, I was really mad at my friend. I had cussed her out because I was like, leave me alone. She ends up storming off. I think she ends up like leaving the room and she's like, fuck it, I'm out of here. She storms off. She leaves. I'm sitting there like crying to Corey, like, hey, like, what do I do? I'm still begging this man, like, can I please just go check? Like, let me just go look. He's still saying no. About 5 minutes later, my friend tries to call me and tells me like, let's go. I called the Uber and I'm sitting here like, no, I already called my child's father. I don't want to hop in the car with you and just be screaming at each other. Like, I'm not arguing with you about this. Like, I'm not doing it. So I completely was like, you go. So she ends up leaving. And another reason why I didn't want to leave is because I still didn't have my shit, right? Like, they didn't even live in Georgia. The moment I would have left, I would have never heard from them again. So I'm talking to the Hinge guy. It's just me and him at this point. And I'm like, can you go ask your friend if the Uber driver has said anything? Like, give me the Uber driver's number. Like, I will go, but like, I need some connection so that I can try to get my purse back. He's screaming back at me like, why are you blaming us? Like, we didn't do anything. He's talking about him and my friend. He's like, we didn't do anything and you're getting mad at us. And I'm sitting here like, I'm not getting mad at you guys. I am just like asking for empathy. Like, help me find my bag. Like, actually care at the fact that I lost my shit. I do take responsibility for losing my shit. That's all on me, but I'm just asking for you to maybe care? Like, what? I really did try to fit this whole story into 10 minutes. I'm so sorry. You're gonna have to go to part 2.
My friend went on a date last night that was so fucking brutal that I had to bring it to TikTok immediately, mostly because it's a funny story, but also as a warning to the women in Toronto that this man is walking our streets, ladies. I'm gonna preface this by saying my friend is very good looking and not insecure. She meets a guy on Hinge and she vets him. They talk on the phone every day for a week, they FaceTime, whatever, and then eventually they decide to go out for dinner. Last night, they go to Myth. Everything's going well, except when they sit down, there's a table of girls next to their table, and the guy keeps talking to the table of girls. Gets to the point where every time my friend goes to the bathroom, the guy is over at the girls' table, or one of the girls is over at her table. It happens multiple times, and one of the girls says to my friend, oh, you're so hot, don't worry about this. Meaning, you're so hot, don't worry that the guy you're on a first date with is talking to this table of girls and at their table every time you take a pee. It's multiple times, and then the guy says to my friend, sorry, those girls are just pumping my tires, as in complimenting me so much. Like, eventually he goes, are you mad? And she's like, I just think it's strange on a first date to not just say thank you, ladies, but I'm on a first date, and not for anything, but like those girls are kind of whack too, because why would you go up to a table of a girl on a date with a guy and just hit on the guy all night? That's insane. Every time she goes to the bathroom, like go and sit with him or make him come sit with you. Like, that's fucking bizarre too. But anyway, they get in a miniature fight, they get over it. He goes, let me drive you home. She's like, okay. Get in the car and he goes, it's so funny how mad you got when those girls were hitting on me. And she's like, yeah, sorry, I think it's crazy you were talking to them. And he goes, you didn't even thank me for dinner. She's like, yeah, maybe I forgot to thank you for dinner because I was too busy wondering what the fuck was going on. And then he brings up something else. Like, he's trying to fight with her. And then she goes, you know what, man? I don't even know you. I'm not doing this with you. Just let me out here. They're like on the side of the highway. Like, they're at Queens Quay and Jarvis. Like, she gets out at the Loblaws. Calls an Uber. The Uber takes 17 minutes to come. So by the time the Uber's there, she's like crying. She gets in the car. The Uber driver's like, oh my God, are you okay? Uber driver literally comforts her the whole way home. Like, is just like, tell me what happened. God bless Uber drivers and cab drivers. I used to be an Uber driver, and the shit people would tell me in my Uber, fucking grown men crying about their divorces. It's crazy. Anyway, Uber driver takes her home, walks her to her door. It's like, don't worry, this ride was on me. Your night was bullshit, and fuck that guy. A, never use paying for dinner against someone on a date. Just don't go on a date then if you don't like that custom. B, if you need the girls at the next table to gas your tires while you're already on a date with a hot girl to feel like a fucking man, I can't help you. That's just insecurity. And he said to my friend, oh, you're just insecure, like gaslit her. No, she's not. She's the hottest fucking loser.
Story time on why you should be really careful about who you're dating. So this is a true story, friend of a friend kind of thing. There was a young girl. She lived in New York City, and she was on a dating app and matched with this young guy. He seemed like a really great person. He had his stuff together, good job, lived local to the area. They talked for a few weeks. Everything was going really great. No red flags, all of that good stuff. He decides to ask her out one night, and they end up going to, she agrees, they end up going to this really nice restaurant. He pays, he's a gentleman, he's nice to wait staff. They wrap up the night, and they both go to their respective homes. And after she gets settled at her apartment, she gets text from him saying that he lost his key, and he's trying to get a hold of his roommate. His roommate isn't home, but his roommate is also not answering. So he's kind of like stuck outside of his apartment. Just sort of like telling her that, and she just kind of figures, all right, I'll invite you over. So, maybe give him a little bit of time to figure out what's going on, either find his key or get in contact with his roommate. So he comes over to her apartment and they have, a really nice chat. They sit on the couch. Finally, she decides that she's going to go to bed. She doesn't know why, but she goes into her own bedroom, which has a door, and she ends up locking it. And it's just one of those things that she felt like she needed to do, which I totally get. New people in your space. Sometimes it's nice to just be extra cautious. So she goes to her bedroom, she locks the door, and he's sleeping on the couch. Around 3 a.m, she wakes up to a knocking on her door. It's her date. And he asks her if she has a cell phone charger because his cell phone is dead and he needs to charge it. This is the part where it gets really crazy. So she tells him that she has one and it's on the kitchen counter. And she just tells him this through the door. She doesn't get up. She doesn't unlock the door. She doesn't go and find it for him. And I'm thinking to myself, if this was me, I would totally get up and grab it for the person and give it to them and then be like, all right, anything else? Good night. He says thank you. He goes, he grabs the charger, whatever. She doesn't know. She just goes right back to sleep. A few minutes later, he knocks on the door again. He said it's not working. And does she have one in her room? At this point, she's thinking that there's something up. She decides to call the police, which, once again, good for you, girl, for having the instinct to connect with the police. The police show up to the apartment. They knock on the door. She hears some commotion going on. And then she gets a knock on her bedroom door, because mind you, she hasn't come out this entire time. And it's a police officer. And he said, we've cleared the apartment. We have him in custody. We really need you to come out of your room so you can take a look at your apartment. She opens the door and walks out, and she sees that her entire living room is plasticked. And there is a set of power tools sitting on the floor. This girl, because of her instinct to not open the door to a weird request for a phone charger in the middle of the night, saved her. Before you decide to take someone home or let them stay at your place, think twice about it.
One time I was talking to this guy on Bumble and he wanted to go on a first date and he wanted to go on a hike. And I know that's a new thing now that people want to go on a hike and don't want to get a drink, don't want to do that. I was like, okay, that's fine, but I don't want to go on a hike. I don't want to go in the middle of nowhere in the woods with someone that I don't know. I was like, well, how about a park or something? He's like, no, I want to go on a hike. And I was like, okay, you're going to go on a hike by yourself then. I'm not going into the woods or into the middle of nowhere with someone I don't even know, sir. And he was like, all right, well, we can go for a drive then. I'm like, I don't want to go for a drive. If I didn't want to go on a hike, I don't want to go for a drive. I do not want to be alone with you, sir. That is not what we're going to do on a first date. Hello, people are crazy. So then he was super pushy about it, and I thought that was weird. And then he was like, well, that's fine, we can go to this park then, I'll pick you up, what's your address? And I was like, absolutely not, I'm not giving you my address, you're a stranger. And he was like, why I want to be a gentleman, why won't you let me pick you up? And I was like, you can be a gentleman in a million ways, and you being super pushy right now is not the way to be a gentleman. I am not giving you my address. And he was super aggressive about it. So then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna block you, I'm not gonna talk to you anymore. So I blocked him on Bumble. Now, he didn't have my full name, he didn't have my phone number. All of a sudden I get this Facebook message, and he was like, hey, sorry, I'm in the CVS parking lot, someone pulled up next to me. He was like, hey, why did you block me? And I was like, bro, this is why I blocked you. First of all, you are super aggressive. You want to meet in the middle of nowhere. Second of all, you want my address. You're want to pick me up, whatever. And now you found me on Facebook. I do not know how. I blocked you, and unless you had my images saved and then you Google image search me after, why did you even have my picture? How could you even find me after Bumble? So then I blocked him on Facebook, and he finds me on Instagram. And I was like, bro, you are boo, 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 setting off all sorts of alarms. So then I got back on Bumble, and I reported him to Bumble, and I was like, hey, this is what's going on. He seems super creepy. He's super pushy about a first date. He wants to meet a first date in the middle of nowhere. He wants to meet in the woods. He wants to go for a drive, whatever. Now he's found me on all of these different forms of social media. So I blocked him. I blocked him here. I blocked him on all forms of social media that I can. And then I didn't hear from him again, but I was like, this is a little sketchy. So I have the guy's information, and I am always watching the news to see if maybe he pops up as a serial killer or something. But I think I might post him on one of those Are We Dating the Same Guys and just be like, hey, alert, alarms, watch out for this dude because he wants to meet you in the middle of nowhere, wants your address, and then he gets really angry if you don't give it to him.
What would you do if you were on an interracial date and your date made a racist comment? Probably unintentional, but still racist nonetheless. I went on a date with this guy. His name is Spencer. Again, I always use real names. Sorry. His name was Spencer, and he picked me up, and he was really, really funny. And if I have texts, I'll overlay them like in this area so that you can see that he was totally normal, like a funny guy. He was cool. I thought it was going to be a great date. And he picks me up, I get in the car, and we're listening to music. And I'm talking about being Jamaican for whatever reason. Jamaicans love talking about being Jamaican, but whatever. I'm talking about it, and he tells me about how much he loves traveling to Jamaica because the people who beg there never beg without offering to do some work. That was the first red flag. Surely you're thinking, why didn't the date just end right there? I don't have any excuses for myself. I thought it was a little bit weird, but some people are kind of awkward. Like, they're not really, like, meaning anything by it. They just, like, say stupid stuff to try to relate or, like, fill in, like, blank space. Like, especially when you're out with, like, Caucasians. Like, no offense to white people, but, like, sometimes they will say something trying to relate. And I was like, I was just in Costa Rica, and nobody was begging there either. So I guess maybe it's just Americans that beg. Okay, so we get to the restaurant, and it's indoor-outdoor. It's a nice restaurant. And he asked me, do I want to sit inside and outside? I like a leader who makes decisions, so I looked at him like, figure out the right answer, basically. And he was like, okay, I'll take that as inside. And I was like, correct. We sit at the table. He asks, like, why was inside the right answer? And I tell him, because I have natural hair. And having natural hair means that if I'm in humidity, my hair will frizz up, and I didn't want that because again, my hair is not relaxed. So anyway, I tell him that I'm talking about. He's like, "Oh, that's your hair," and I was like, "Yeah." I literally, like, my hairline is usually covered because I wear my hair to the front. So I'll put a picture of that too, so you can see how I normally wear my hair. But yeah, I was like, "Yeah, it's my hair," and he was like, "Oh, I had no idea." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So anyway, after that, I was like, but yeah, so it's my hair, it's my natural hair, I take care of it, and I know that if I sit outside in a Florida wet night, it's gonna revert back. And then the waiter came, and right as the waiter was walking up, he said, because I didn't know how nappy your hair really was. I was like, wait, what? I'm like thinking Black people don't even really use that word with each other anymore. Like, we use kinky or something else. Like, nappy? This Caucasian man just said he didn't know how nappy my hair really was. Oh my God, I was literally in shock. And our waiter, who happened to be Black with locks, walks up to take the order. So Spencer's like, we need a couple more minutes. Like hell we do. So after that, I just feel uncomfortable, and I pull out my phone to order a Lyft, but I just wasn't sure yet. He starts talking about the menu, and I'm not really talkative, so I asked to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom, and I take this little Instagram video about how I'm leaving, and I call the Lyft in the bathroom. I call the Lyft, and I head back to the table, and I'm like, hey, I'm leaving. And he was like, you want me to drive you home? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm leaving. So I see the waiter, I'm like, which way is the way out? He's like, what's wrong? What's going on? I'm like, I'm leaving. And he was like, why don't you have a drink with me real quick? Like, sit at the bar, I'll get you. No, I'm going home. Because at that point, my night is ruined. My night is ruined. I'm weirded out. I'm taken aback. I'm questioning why I'm even on this date. So I'm leaving. But, like, what would you have done? Was I dragging it? Should I have stayed for the short rib? Should I have just hee-heed and ate and then blocked him? I don't need a man for a meal. So for me, if I'm uncomfortable, I'm skedaddling. But tell me if I was dragging it.
I have a Denver dating horror story for you guys, and I normally don't talk about this stuff because I think it's kind of messy, but I think that this guy really needs to be called out for his poor behavior. So there's a guy that I went on a couple of dates with this fall, and I thought that he was a really nice guy. I wasn't really sure if there was like a connection there, but also I was like, you know what, I'm definitely the kind of person that I'm like a slow burn, and I need to like get to know you better before I can really like you. I didn't really like hear too much from this guy after that, and so I was like, okay, no problem. Fast forward to last week. So on Monday, I got a text from this guy saying that he had courtside tickets to the Nuggets game and he wanted me to go with him. And I was like, this is kind of random, but also as a avid Nuggets fan, I was like, I can't say no to this. So I texted him back and I'm like, yes, absolutely, I'm in. The next day was my friend's Friendsgiving dinner, okay? So I went to this Friendsgiving dinner and I met so many of my friends' friends. And one of these girls I was talking with and we really liked each other, so we followed each other on Instagram. Later that week, it was maybe like 1 or 2 days later, I get a DM from this girl that I had met at Friendsgiving with screenshots of text between her and this guy, and she was like, hey, so this guy slid into my DMs earlier this week. I don't really know much about him, but I saw you guys are mutual, so I just wanted to know if you like him or not. And so I was like, oh, I think that like he's a really nice guy. We went on a couple dates, but he must just have not felt a connection, so I didn't really like pursue it any further. I think you guys should definitely go out. And then she goes, okay, he asked me to this Nuggets game, and I want to know whether or not I should go. And I was like, So then I was like, oh, okay. And obviously I'm like giving this guy the benefit of the doubt. I just met this girl. I think she's super great. So I was like, I don't want to like be messy about this. So I kind of just told her like, yeah, like he had asked me to go to a game, that same game also earlier this week. And I told him yes, but I never heard back from him. And she was like, oh, interesting. Okay. I was like, well, like not really sure what's going on here. But like I said, I think he's a really nice guy. So like if you want to go for it, like no big deal. And I kind of just assumed, since I didn't hear back from this guy, that like he decided not to invite me, actually. Like he uninvited me without telling me. And I was like, that's kind of messy behavior. But like I said, I had only been on a couple dates with this guy, so I didn't really know him super well at this point. So I was like, oh, good to know that he's like that. Whatever. I was talking to my friend about this because I coach Legree, and I was kind of upset because I was like, well, I already got subs for both of my Legree classes on Monday, which are usually my favorite classes. And like, yes, I know that that was a gamble considering that he hadn't like confirmed after he had asked me to go with him, but I still was like, you know what? Like, I have no reason to believe this guy isn't a nice guy. So like, I'll just like take him on his word and I'll get my classes covered. So I was talking to my friend and I was like, girl, like I'm kind of upset because I got my classes covered and now I find out that I've been like uninvited from this game without knowing. And she was like, girl, you know what? We're still going to go to this game, okay? Before we went to this game, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to text him the day before as if I don't know that he already invited another girl and that I got uninvited. So I text him and I say, hey, where are we meeting up tomorrow before the game? And I get paragraphs in return from this guy, okay? So in response, I get paragraphs from this guy, basically just like using all of this therapy talk on me, being like, well, you know, I just didn't really feel a connection, I thought, and so I decided to invite somebody else. And he also said, honestly, when I texted you that, I wasn't really expecting you to respond, which I was like, why would you invite me if you didn't think I would respond? So yeah, no hard feelings, but hopefully like you can move on from this. Like literally, like low-key really mean. I was like, what the heck? He had double texted like a couple times, okay? So there were like 3 texts, okay? So then I wait a second to respond, and then I just respond and say, no problem, thanks for letting me know, tell blank I say hi. So this is like my friend that I met at Friendsgiving earlier that week. And so I was just like, tell blank I say hi. And this set him off, okay? He sent me a barrage of the rudest messages, basically just being like, it would be a shame if this got back to her. I really hope that you can be mature in this. And I was like, me be mature? You are the one that invited 2 girls to the same game. You texted me expecting that I wouldn't respond. Like, are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. So I was pissed about that. And then also I had gotten my Legree classes covered for Monday. So I was like, I already like got my classes covered. I had no reason to believe this guy sucked. So I was like kind of upset about it. And then my friend was like, girl, like we're still going to the game. So we ended up getting like pretty good seats. We got like last minute tickets on Game Time, which like shout out Game Time, like you're the GOAT. Never said anything about this to my friend that I had met on Friendsgiving, okay? Because I was like, I don't want to ruin this for her. Yes, he's being super gross, gaslighty, like almost threatening at certain points in the text, which I never responded to, by the way, because there is a lot of power in silence. But yeah, I never said anything to her because I was like, you know, I don't, like I just met her and I don't want to like be messy or weird. So I never said anything to her. So anyways, we go to this game and my friend is like, do you see him anywhere? And I was like kind of just looking around at the courtside seats and I was like, no. And then something in me was like, what if you look just a little bit higher? And I was like, what if he's lying about the seats? Well, I look up the rows. I found this guy. I have no idea how my eyes just like went to him in this whole arena of thousands of people. It was completely full. And I managed to spot this guy in the crowd, okay? He is sitting next to a girl who is not my friend from Friendsgiving, okay? So it's a different girl. And I was like, okay. So he took someone else, which is probably good. And also he totally lied about where his seats were. And like I've sat in this area before and they're not terrible seats, but definitely where we were sitting were definitely better seats. And I was like, wow, me when I lie. Like he was on this date with this girl and she was like really cute. She was like laughing, looking like she had a good time. And so I was like, okay, I hope that she had a good date. But yeah, this guy totally lied about where his seats were. It was awful. So anyways, just another Denver dating horror story for you. Thankfully, I had no emotional stake in the matter. It was just kind of weird to be threatened by a guy that I'd been on a couple dates with for no reason. So yeah, be safe out there, girls. This is the one time that I'm going to address comments like this. Men in the comments seem to think that it's okay to ask multiple girls out on the same date and then pick one girl that they want to go with and then ghost the other two. Not to mention how disrespectfully this man spoke to me when I texted him asking if we were still on for plans. I had been nothing but kind to this man, and the fact that he felt so emboldened to not only ask multiple girls out on the same date, but then disrespect me like that was absolutely insane. The thing that irritates me about this is that most of these men do not realize that this is not okay. Especially in Denver, the women that I've met in Denver, we are all successful. We have great careers, oftentimes have multiple jobs. I have my career as a scientist. I also coach Legree. I also have my social media. I have modeling. I know that I'm not the only one. Like, a lot of girls that I've met in Denver are highly successful and their time is valuable. Why would I waste my time preparing for a date that may or may not happen? Because again, flakiness has become so normalized in dating culture, which is insane, when I could just hang out with one of my friends that I haven't seen in a long time. A lot of times I feel like guys excuse poor behavior by saying, well, he's single, so free will. That's poor character to do something like that. I am getting upset about this, not because of what happened, but because all of these men are running around the city of Denver acting like this kind of behavior is normal and okay. It is not. Do not waste a woman's time, okay? So girls, I made the last video to let you know that you should never ever accept behavior like this from a man. Never.
Grab your drinks for this one because this story time is literally insane, okay? Here's another dating horror story in Nashville. Oh my God. So last April, okay? You know, this dude slid into my DMs. He's relatively cute. And I think he was some influencer, some fitness guy, I don't know. And whatever, we'd been going back and forth for like a little bit and he asked for my number. I was like, okay. And then he told me he was a cop also. Like, that's kind of what he does for his full-time job, I don't know. And long story short, wasn't a cop, it was a security guard at the Holiday Inn, okay? It was something just really casual. Whatever, we've been hanging out for like, maybe a month or two. I don't know. He kind of just like introduced me more into his like world, I guess. And I was like, okay. Setting the scene. It's a Saturday night, right? Sitting at the rooftop of Jason Aldean's in Nashville, Tennessee. Got a strong buzz, okay? I think I'm like 5 shots deep at this point and like a couple other drinks. So I'm chilling, having fun with my friends. Get this hey girly DM. Never gotten a hey girly DM in my entire freaking life, okay? Saw one of my stories and like commented on the story or whatever. And I was like, what the heck is this? Says to me, she was like, hey girl, I saw that you've been messaging blah, blah, blah. We'll call him Frank. I see you've been messaging Frank. Just letting you know, like, if you wouldn't mind contacting him because I'm his girlfriend and I'm pregnant with his child. Deceased!
A girl named Jade sent me an email and she shared her real life stalker story about a guy that she went on one date with who ended up knowing everything about her. And she says basically you never think that something like this could happen to you until it does, but it started when she was 17. She had never had a relationship, but she was interested in dating, and so some of her older friends decided to set her up with a casual acquaintance they knew. His name was Preston, and they met in a group setting with some of their mutual friends, but she said that he was sort of nerdy and socially awkward. He didn't really offer much in terms of his own interests or anything to make her interested in him. So it sort of fizzled out. She didn't even add him on social media. But about a year later, she joined a dating app trying to expand her options. And she came across a profile, and the guy in the profile seemed very cute. He looked a little familiar, but she didn't put 2 and 2 together. She didn't realize that it was the same guy that she had met a year before because she hadn't thought about him since. They ended up matching, they ended up talking, and he asked her on a date to a local restaurant. And she was fine with this because she didn't want him to know where she lived. This was her first experience with online dating, and so she goes to meet him at the restaurant. And as she meets him at the restaurant, she realizes, oh, this is the same person that I met a year prior. He says, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that you were the same person I met a year ago either. And they sit down and they start having dinner. But over dinner, she realized that the vibes were still off. He didn't really offer anything about himself. He didn't really ask her about her. And she was the one that was like sort of forcing this conversation that she didn't even really want to be having. So at the end of the date, he asked, oh, can I drive you home? But she's like, no, it's okay. I'll just get you an Uber. She knew she was not interested. But then right before she's about to leave, he's like, oh, have you ever thought about getting another dog since Smokey passed? And that stopped her in her tracks because Smokey was her childhood dog that passed away when she was 13. She says, I knew for a fact I had never mentioned this dog to this man, but somehow he knew him by name. She thought this was an extremely bizarre thing for him to ask, especially on a first date with him not even knowing her, but she assumed that he must have just looked at her social media, maybe her past post or something, and gotten the information that way. So she brushed it off. She ended up leaving alone, and he continued messaging her through the dating app, though she thought that if she just slowly sort of pulled away, he would lose interest, but he didn't. It was like when he sensed that she was pulling away or not engaging in conversation, he would bring up an obscure show that she was watching or a book that she was reading. He brought up her favorite band and asked if she would be willing to go and see this band with him. And she thought that all of this was very strange, but that it must be related to him just looking at her social media. So she just decided to fully ghost him. And remember, he did not have her as a friend on any social media platform. So if he was getting this information from her social media channels, he must have just been looking at it and going from there. He continued texting her through the dating app for about a month before she removed him from her matches entirely. But then he switched to the photo sharing platform. He began sending her private message request after message request and commenting on all of her photos. And she thought at first that it was harmless, but when it didn't let up after another month, she blocked him there as well. Then she noticed that he started making new profiles so that he could continue commenting on her photos and sending her message requests. She blocked those profiles as soon as they popped up, but it never let up. So eventually she made her entire profile private. You would think it ends there, but it doesn't, because then he started making profiles posing as people that she actually knew in real life, and he tried to catfish her that way. He moved to the other platform in which you make a profile and accept friends and post status updates, and began posing as people that she went to school with or former coworkers. The conversation would start like, hey, it's me, Catherine, I got hacked and this is my new profile. And so she would go back and forth with this friend that she thought that she was talking to until she would bring up something from the conversation in real life, and that friend was like, what are you talking about? She would show them the profile and they would be like, that's not me, someone is impersonating me. And this happened a number of times with several different people. And at the time, she didn't really know who was behind it, but it got to a point where it happened so frequently that she stopped accepting new friend requests and message requests because she was too afraid that it was a hacker. But she noticed around this time that the requests from Preston had stopped coming in, and so she thought that he had moved on. About a year passed, and she ended up getting a job working in the kitchen at a restaurant. And her birthday was coming up and she wanted to take off, so she put in a time off request so that she could go out to dinner with family and then go out with friends after. And as she was sitting at dinner with her family, she got a message request on the photo sharing app, and she opened it up and it was another profile that Preston had made, and he asked how her pasta dish was. She blocked the request immediately, but then about a minute or two later, another request came in from a profile without a photo, and it said, if you tell the waitress it's your birthday, she'll give you a free dessert. This, of course, scared her. She hadn't even posted where she was at or that it was her birthday, and so she went to the bathroom to calm herself down. And when she came out of the bathroom, she saw Preston leaned up against the men's bathroom across the hall. When she saw him, she beelined it back in the women's restroom and called her sister, who was sitting at the table, to come into the bathroom so she could walk her back to the table with her family. When her sister came in, she told her about everything that had been happening, and her sister was like, well, show me who it is. I'll confront him. But when they walked back out of the bathroom, he was gone, and she spent the rest of the dinner on edge. Still, though, she tried to rationalize this in her head and thought maybe he just happened to be eating at the same restaurant when she was there, which is how he knew that she had ordered pasta and that it was her birthday. And she didn't want it to ruin her night, so after dinner, she still decided she was going to go out with her friends. And her friends were having this big bonfire in a more remote part of their town. It was in a secluded, woodsy area on private property that was owned by one of her friends' parents. As the night went on and she spent a few hours with her friends, talking and laughing and having a good time, she sort of forgot what happened at the restaurant. But then her stomach dropped because she had another message request. And when she opened it up, it was another new profile with no profile photo. And it was asking her why she was sitting so close to one of her male friends. That message creeped her out more than any other message she received, because it either meant that he was somewhere around where he could see what she was doing, or he was watching her friends' posts about what she was doing. She started telling her friends all about Preston and how many times he had tried to message her through the years, and started putting two and two together about him making the fake profiles posing as them. They offered to take her to the police station, but she was hesitant to get law enforcement involved because she was worried that they would tell her that she was being overdramatic, because he hadn't threatened her, and it could be explained by him simply watching the social media channels of the people that she was around. But about a week later, things escalated again when she was babysitting her 3-year-old nephew and there was a knock at the door. She went to the door and opened it, and there stood Preston holding a Subway sandwich and a bottle of Jack Daniels. When she opened the door, he simply said, "We can have a little date after you put the baby to bed," and she slammed the door in his face and called the police. By the time they got there, he was gone, but she showed them the messages and they told her to keep her distance. And maybe calling the police worked, because the messages actually stopped for a while. Maybe he was in the area and had seen the police arrive, but he didn't message her again for about a year. She eventually ended up moving out of her mom's house, and she felt safer in her new space because she knew it meant he had absolutely no idea where she lived, and she was very careful not to post anything on any of her profiles, even though they were private, so that he couldn't figure out where she was in case he was still watching. Shortly after that, her mom also moved out of that house, which gave Jade a sense of peace because she knew that it meant he couldn't stalk her family either. Sadly, shortly after her mom moved out of that house, she passed away, and Jade and her sisters planned a memorial service at a church that their mother attended. Toward the end of the celebration of life, though, Jade and her sisters were saying their goodbyes and thanking everyone from coming when someone caught her eye from across the room, and she looked toward the back of the church, and she caught a glimpse of Preston getting up from a chair and walking out the back door of the church. She immediately checked her phone. She noticed that he had not sent her a message request or indicated in any way, shape, or form that he was coming. He had simply shown up, and she wouldn't have even known it had she not seen him get up and exit the church. Now, Jade says she has not heard from him since that day, but the scariest thing is she's not sure if he actually stopped watching her and finally left her alone, or if he just stopped letting her know that he's there. She sent this sort of as a warning. Be careful what you post on social media. Be careful who you let in to know the intimate details of your life. And if you feel like something is off from the get-go, let somebody know. I'm not sure if she'll be responding to comments, but she will be seeing them, so let her know if you have any thoughts. And if you have an experience of your own, something that still leaves you unsettled, or something that you want to warn people about, let us know. We would love to hear it.
I almost got murdered today, and this is what happened. I matched with this guy on Bumble. We exchange a few messages back and forth, and then we switched to WhatsApp. We decided to go on a date, so he planned one for today. When I asked him to send me what bar we're going to, he sent me a postcode, and he was like, "Meet here." So I googled the postcode and I put on maps, and it was like flats. There was like a residential street. So I was like, "What is this? I don't want to meet here. Like, can we just meet at the bar?" No, he was like, "No, just meet me here. We can walk together." And I was like, "Can I just please meet you at the bar?" And again, he was just like, "Just meet me here." Obviously, I was still gonna go to the bar. He eventually told me the bar's name. And I am coming, well, I was supposed to be in the office today, so I would have been coming from wherever my office is. And he chose a place that's like an hour away by tube. And it's a Tuesday, so I didn't really want to do that. I was like, that's too far. I don't want to be back late and then end up having to take like a really expensive Uber back to my house. And he was like, "It's not far at all. Like, just walk across the bridge and then you can tube. It's one stop," which it wasn't. It would still take me about an hour to get there. So I was like, "No, can we just meet somewhere in the middle, so that we can both travel? It's not just like, I don't know, it's because he lives in that area that he wanted to do that he chose the bar in." He was adamant on not changing the location, and he was just like, "Why are you making such a big deal out of it? It's not a big deal. The Uber's not expensive." He like looked up the price, and he was like, "It's only £15," which it would not be, because from my house to the bar by Uber would be like probably £30, especially late at night. But there was a bit of back and forth, and then I was like, "Okay, you know what? Let's just reschedule for a different day, because this is obviously like not working, and now we're just like in a bit of a fight, so it's just weird and awkward, and maybe we shouldn't even go on a date." I didn't say that part, but anyways, he was like, "Well, I can't now because I've had to put my credit card down, and they're gonna charge me if I cancel the reservation because it's less than 24 hours." I went onto the website of the bar and I clicked reserve a table. You did not have to put your credit card down. I could easily you just have to fill out your name, and that's it. And something told me to reverse image search his pictures, and I used this website. It's called facecheck.id, and it basically is like reverse image search for social profiles and stuff. I put his picture in there, and it comes up with this like fitness gym model based in Germany. I live in London, so I was like, okay, and it had a completely different name, and all the pictures that were on his profile were taken from that person's profile. So at that point, I was like, okay, what the hell? So he wanted to meet me at this random postcode, not the bar. Random postcode, looked like a residential street. I'm assuming it was his place. He was adamant on not changing the location. He specifically wanted to meet there, and he would not meet me halfway. He lied about the credit card, putting it down. And then he's not even real. So I don't know what the intention was. I don't know what would have happened if I went. And it's supposed to be in a few hours, so I obviously have not done anything. I screenshotted the profile, the fitness model's Instagram, and I sent it to him. But now I'm really scared, actually, so I reported him on Bumble. I'm gonna block him on WhatsApp before he even responds, because I don't know what would have happened, but everything is just like alarm bells. And there, I'm pretty sure that would have been the last day that I was seen alive. So yeah, that is how I almost got killed.
One time when I was living in Chicago, I had a neighbor who I guess was into me, but I had no idea. I'd never met these people. I did like a little burlesque performance one night, and I came home and I was wearing my little getup, and so obviously it causes a lot of people to stare because my makeup, my hair, and I'm wearing like bejeweled stuff and whatever. So this couple in my building comes downstairs and they were like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I like just did a burlesque performance, and like, yeah, it was really cute, whatever. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. What are you doing this weekend? And I was like, no, not much. And if you live in Chicago, you know that like going on a boat in the summer is like a regular thing that a lot of people do. And they were like, oh, well, we have a boat. Would you want to go on the boat with us tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, sounds fun. So I go on this boat with them, and it was like a fine time. Like, you know, we were on a boat, like it was normal. I will say that the husband did make a few like flirtatious comments toward me. But I didn't really like, it wasn't anything really that notable. It was just like kind of awkward. And mind you, there was another couple on the boat with us. So it was like 2 couples and me. Anyways, that was like a kind of normal time, whatever. We had a time, we all came home. And then when it was time to kind of go our separate ways, the man was like trying to get a plan together. Like he was trying to like make it so that I didn't go home. But honestly, I got like soaked on the boat because it was kind of a dinghy, and it was just like not, I wanted to just take a shower and go to bed. But I go up to my room and he's like, hey, we're all going to, and I think it was STK. I don't know. It was some sort of steakhouse. He's like, we're all going to the steakhouse. Come with us. Like, it's on me. Like, we're all gonna get steaks and have like a nice dinner. Like, just get ready and meet us downstairs. And I was like, okay, like, who's gonna say no to that? Of course I'm gonna go to the steakhouse. So, and mind you, at this point, he made one flirtatious comment, but I wasn't like creeped out. It was more like hindsight. I noticed it was flirtatious. But anyways, I'm getting ready and he texts me again while I'm getting ready, and he was like, hey, we're all having drinks up here. Like, do you want me to bring you down a cocktail for, to drink while you're getting ready? And he had been talking up this like cocktail that he likes that I'd never tried. And so he made it and then brought it down for me. Now, tell me why I opened the door and this man has a picture of the cocktail and 2 glasses. 2 glasses. And I was just like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. You were inviting yourself over. Weird, super weird. But what am I gonna do? Like, it was just kind of awkward at that point. So I let him in. I was like, I'm not like done getting ready yet. And mind you, I had like really curly hair and I was blow drying my hair and I looked like a freaking lion. So like, it was not a good time. But I was like, okay, yeah, like, sorry, I'm like just still getting ready. And he's like, no, take your time. I'll entertain myself out here. Like, last thing I want is this weird man to be sitting in my apartment in my kitchen entertaining himself while I'm getting ready, out of sight. So anyways, I get ready as quickly as possible because I didn't want to be sitting in my apartment with this man. It was just kind of weird. But I still didn't really think twice about it. I just thought like, oh, maybe he like, I just thought this guy was friendly. Cause mind you, when you move from Arizona to the Midwest, everyone's just friendly. And it's kind of a culture shock. And so you don't know if someone's flirting with you or if they are just being friendly. So I was giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, and
just assumed he was being friendly. So I was like, okay, yeah, like, I'm ready. I come out, we're all ready, and I was like, should we bring, like, your glasses back up? And he's like, oh, I'll just leave them here, like, I'll get them later. I'm like, okay, cool. So he's like, are you ready? Yeah, let's go. And I'm like, okay. Like, thinking to myself, like, is everybody else ready? Like, I'm a little confused. And so, anyways, we go to the elevator, we go down to the lobby, and he's like, oh, the car will be here in, like, 2 minutes or whatever. And I was like, oh, well, is everyone else coming down? Like, is everyone else ready? And he goes, oh, no, everyone else actually backed out, so it's just you and I. The way that I felt so coerced into this, and mind you, like, I'm not the kind of person who can sit through a steak dinner with someone I don't enjoy just to get a steak dinner out of it. So, like, this could have been, like, oh, like, iconic, but it kind of wasn't. So, whatever. I go to the restaurant with him anyway. I didn't really feel like I had a choice. If you're a girl, you know. I was very coerced. The car's pulling up. I just got ready with him in my living room. I was like, I'm just gonna go to this dinner and never talk to this guy again. So we go to the dinner, and he's kind of speaking to me, like, very flirtatious, and I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and guess that you're, like, in an open marriage, or, like, what's the situation? And he's like, yeah, I'm allowed to, like, essentially step out to fulfill those needs of mine. And I'm like, what a freaking loser of a man in the first place, just to even say those words out loud. But also, the fact that you made that pact, like, just get divorced. Just get divorced, okay? Go find love. But anyways, he was telling me about his little deal with and he told his wife he has this big crush on me. So the whole thing about going on the boat with all these people was to ease me into it and this and that. And I'm just like, dude. And again, when you're a female, you know that, like, situations like this can be kind of sticky, so you kind of have to, like, ease out. I tried to really stick to, like, surface level conversation. Like, he just had bought, like, a custom Ferrari or whatever, so I asked him about the process, and I just tried to keep it cordial because men like this have an ego, and I just didn't want to... It was already weird that he had to coerce me into going to a dinner with him. That I didn't know what this man was capable of next, so I just kept it cool, went along my way. So now we go home, and I'm like, yeah, I want to go my separate ways. And then I went my separate way, he went his separate way, and I had to, like, clean his dishes and, like, leave it at his door one day. It was really awkward. And then I had to continue living there for another, like, month or so, having to see him and his wife around. Did he stop pursuing me? No. He asked me out on a few dates, and then when I moved into my new apartment, not only did he find out what building I was moving into, he showed up with flowers and ice cream the day before I moved in. And I should have sued this apartment complex. They let this man into my future unit to leave those items for me. He lied and said that he was my boyfriend, and they just believed him. Why not? And they let him in because they thought it was cute. So now he not only had confirmation of the building I was moving into, but also my unit. Did he stalk me further after that? No, he got the hint and left me alone. Thank goodness. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I don't understand the mindset of a man that feels like they have to coerce you into liking them or going on a date with them. Like, why do you think that angle is gonna work? Because I guarantee it's not.
I have the worst Hinge date story. This happened like a year ago, and my friends tell me all the time that I need to post about it, and I never do. So now I think enough time has passed. So we match on Hinge, we do a couple FaceTimes, it's pretty chill, nothing's like too out of the ordinary. He is like really into surfing, so he tells me like, yo, like, I'll take you surfing for the first date, and I don't want to do that. So I was like, okay, let's save that for another time if it goes well, and let's go get some food or something else. So he's like, yeah, of course, no problem, let's do it, I'll pick you up. So I make the first mistake and I get in his car on the first date. He picks me up, he looks cute, I look cute, I'm ready, I'm like dressed in like cute jeans, cute sneakers, sweatshirt, casual, but like I look ready for food. We get into his car, and of course, like the second that I close the door, he's like, so where are we going? I thought you made a plan. And of course, this is like my second, like, actually that's a lie. This is like my fourth ever Hinge date. So I'm kind of like new to dating. I'm younger, I guess. Like, don't hate a girl for trying to figure this out, okay? So he's like, so what are we doing? What do you want to do? And I was like, I thought we were getting lunch.
I was like, oh, are we gonna go get food? He's like, oh yeah, I have the perfect place for you. I have the perfect place. I'm like, okay, I didn't usually with that. I look at the navigation. A hot hour and a half. A piping hot hour and a half. And it's going all the way down to Newport Beach. Newport Beach. I'm in LA. I'm in like central LA. And at this point, I'm dumb as a rock, and I'm like, all right, where are we going? Let's go. And I'm getting nervous. My whole body's like shutting down. I'm like playing with my rings. I'm like, like hyperventilating internally. And he's like, why are you so nervous? Like, I can see that you're nervous. Like, why do I make you nervous? And I'm like, oh my God, stop. And so, like, of course, my face is like getting red, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no, like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm like apologizing for being nervous. I kid you not, he starts like singing Disney songs. Like, and he's doing this, like, when he's singing to me, he's, like, grabbing my hand, and he's like, oh, yeah, oh, like, throwing my hand away, and I'm like, oh, my God, I might jump out the side. I might just do that. An hour and a half passes, close to 2 hours now, because we hit some traffic, right? We're at the beach. We're at Newport Beach, and he pulls up, and he's like, this is perfect. This is a perfect spot. I'm going to pop open my trunk, and I'm like, what's in your trunk? A machete? He starts taking off his clothes. He starts getting naked. I'm like, sir. And he's like, I'm putting on my wetsuit. We're gonna go catch some waves. I have an extra one for you. He like shows me this extra wetsuit that he has that's totally disgusting and smells like complete and utter shit. And I'm just like standing there not really knowing what to do. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm watching him surf. He gets ready and he starts booking it to the waves. The waves. These waves were non-existent. It was not a day for the waves. There was no waves in sight. I know that because he was checking on his app to see how good the waves were that he was missing out on. Boy wasn't missing out on anything because he just got right to it and wanted to see it for himself. So he starts booking it. Like, he's like in front of me, basically jogging. And we go from 1, like, you know those signs on the beach, like 1 to 20. 1 to 20. 1 to 20. Like, I swear it takes us like a good past 20 minutes to get to number 20 for the perfect wave spot. He finds his spot. I don't know what to do. I call my friend. I'm like, an Uber, and this is when I was broke. I was like, an Uber is $200. I can't do that right now. He's like in the waves, and I'm calling my friend like, what do I do? It starts raining. It's raining. He's in the water. There's no waves in sight. He's just doing this. And he keeps looking at me like to see if I'm looking at it, and I'm like, doing great, sweetie. He wasn't in there for very long. It was a quick little dip because, again, no waves in sight. And he comes out, he goes, you weren't even watching me. And this is when I start to crash out. Now, I've been to a lot of therapy since then. This is before therapy. This is when, like, peak people pleaser Olivia. So I was, like, really stood up for myself for the first time, and I was like, this is ridiculous. You said that we were gonna go get dinner. I told you that I didn't even want to go surfing in the first place. Like, it's raining, my feet hurt. What's going on? Like, this is so weird. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, oh my gosh, like, we're adults. Like, we can just cancel this now. Like, let's just go back to the car. Let's just go back. So he's like walking all mopey with his surfboard. And I'm walking behind him like, so now we're going 20 to 1, right? 20 to 1. And we're just like walking, like, he's in front of me, I'm behind him, and he keeps looking back, and he's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Like, I'm like, it's okay, it's fine. I'm like walking in my socks, in my wet socks on the dark pavement. And then it wasn't until we saw this group of Amish people that we actually started talking to each other again, because the awkward silence was so bad for me that I was like, haha, look, the Amish. And for some reason that like really got us talking again. And he was like, please, like, I'm so sorry, like, let me make it up to you. And his sorries were so weird. It was like the microphone thing where he was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, like, let me make it up for you. Let me get you some food. So I was like, okay, I want some pokey. I want some pokey right now. We go to this pokey place. I'm like full fawn, full like people pleaser mode. He pays for it, and while we're waiting for our food, he goes on his phone and starts scrolling through pictures of his abs, of his muscles from like months ago. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. No questions about myself, nothing really that has to do with me, more about like how muscular and how much money he's going to be making. He then continues and he's like, please let me make it up for you. Like, I'll get you something at McDonald's. Like, let's go to McDonald's. So I'm like, all right, let's go to McDonald's. We go through the McDonald's. He goes, 1 Oreo McFlurry, and just drives on by. Just drives. Am I nothing to you? I wanted a vanilla cone. I'm still mad about that. I wanted a vanilla cone. So I'm like looking at him and I'm like, okay, were you not gonna ask me what I wanted? And he was like, oh, sorry, did you want something? So then they're like, 2 spoons or 1? And I go, 2. I'm like, 2 spoons all the way, please. And he gets all mad at me because I asked for 2 spoons. He's like, you don't want to share a spoon? Like, he started getting real, like, you don't want to share a spoon with me? And I was like, no. And so he made fun of me for that the entire time. And he's like, I have 1 more spot. And of course, just like, I know I should have called it then. Looking back, but like, let a girl be young and dumb and free, okay? We're both eating the ice cream with our separate spoons. He's making fun of me, making me feel uncomfortable, talking about his money, singing these Disney songs. I don't even know what song. Here's the thing. I do music. I know music. I know a lot of music. And for some reason, he played every single song that I didn't know. And he was able to, like, sing every single song that I didn't know on the planet of the earth. Anyway, he's like, I have 1 more spot. I want to make it up to you. And I'm like, fuck it. Take me away. It's another beach. It's another beach that's farther away from the beach that we were at before. So we're at another beach. It's sunset now, by the way. It's been many of hours. The sun is setting, we're sitting down, and things just start getting weird. I don't even remember what we talked about, but it was nothing. We talked about nothing, I'll tell you that. But he still had the nerve to grab my hand and feel my hand on his mustache and tell me that he liked it. Grabbed my hand, kissed my hand, felt his mustache, put my hand down. No words. No words. And then right after that, there was some girls on the beach that were taking like bomb photos of each other, and he was like, ugh, I hate when women do stuff like that. And at this point, I'm like, take me home, please. 2.5 hours in the car. 2.5 of this. Oh, yeah, baby, don't you worry about a thing. Oh, you see that building up there? Yeah, that's probably where I'm going to work one day. Y'all, you know this song? Yeah, baby, don't you? You can see it, right? You can see it. And then I just told him I wasn't going to see him again. Over text, of course. I give him a hug goodnight. 9 hours, by the way. 9-hour date.
This morning I woke up to text from a guy that said he wanted to dip out my eyeballs and take out my organs and suck them until he sucks the life out of them. He also said that I should be burnt at the stake and I'm a disgusting piece of capitalism. Who is this guy, you might ask? I actually used to date him. When I first moved to New York, like 3-4 years ago, he was the first guy I was in like a talking stage with. It fizzled out after 2 months. Didn't even make it to month 3. I ended it. No fake names, his name is Sam. He has been hitting me up a few times a year since then. He continued trying to go on dates with me after that. I was like, listen, Sam, we're not each other's person. You gotta move on. If you followed me for a while, I've actually talked about him before. He's a guy that had to hide my phone number in a random page in a random book and then put it with a bunch of other random books to keep himself from texting me. When he first told me that, I was like, aw, that's so cute. Fast forward to 3 days ago, I'm out on a walk, go to the park, I'm eating food. He said he's seen me at this park before, so that's why I think he followed me to the next store I was at. I was shopping, I walk out, I'm walking out, there's a glass window, he's there, he's looking at me, he does a double take, looks again, I'm like, he had just texted me that morning, howdy partner, I didn't respond. We lock eyes. I'm acting normal because, you know, this is normal. Like, okay, funny seeing you, running into you. I'm not gonna make it awkward. We walk and talk for like 2 blocks. I say, what are you doing over here? He said, that's none of your business. Red flag. He said, I was actually just about to text you and said I'm in your neighborhood. Okay. He also says he's picking up medication. I'm like, oh, what medication? He said, that's also none of your business. No follow-up. He asked what's going on with me. And I say, oh, I actually just started seeing somebody I'm really excited about. It's really cool. And he's like, perfect timing. So I go, yeah, it's unfortunate for you, right? And he's like, yeah. Well, anyways, and I was like, I gotta go this way. Bye-bye. We split. I didn't think about him for the rest of the day. Tell me why. I wake up in the morning to the most insane texts I have ever received. And I get DM'd crazy shit on the daily. Insert here. If I can even show you, I'm gonna have to blurb out some of the words. Like, when I tell you I looked at that and I was actually paralyzed in fear in my bed because I thought he was already in my apartment and was about to kill me. I've never had somebody be outright psychotic saying they want to dip out my eyeballs, me, and eat my organs. That's a first. And coming from somebody I used to date, even crazier. Underneath all of those texts that were sent at like 2 a.m., he says, oh my god, I'm so fucking sorry, you didn't deserve that. Yeah, fucking duh. Obviously I'm not responding. He texts again like 3 more paragraphs. Sorry, I more or less got blackout last night. More or less? Bro, just say you got blackout. Say you fully got blackout. What do you mean? Were you slightly there when you were sending those insane texts? Just say you're black. Anyways, said he was off his gourd and that he's sorry. And it's really hard to be in love with somebody for 2 to 3 years and not receive it back and to not be able to get over them. Using that as an excuse for him to say he wanted to suck the life out of my organs. Honestly, acting way too nonchalant about it. It sounded more like he was apologizing for like a few oopsie drunk texts, which we've all been there. But this was not that. This was him admitting he wanted to kill me and then being like, sorry, I was blackout. But that's not all. There's also been an insane person DMing me for 2 years that speaks in that exact text cadence, all broken up, super cryptic, doesn't make any sense. I blocked that person because it was constant berating all day, every day. Went back to the DMs. That person was saying 2 to 3 years all gone to waste. At least the sex was good. That was him. That was also him. So that wasn't just like a oopsie one-time thing. He has been insane. And keep in mind, I hung out with him in the middle of receiving those insane DMs because it was not even on my radar that it could possibly be him. And obviously when I'm like, hey, you're not my person, Sam, right back to it, dude. Imagine me sitting in his apartment and he's the one that's been attacking me online for years. All that to say, you never really know who you're dating. This shit is scary. Men are fucking terrifying. And if I go missing, it was him.
Okay, y'all. So today I'm gonna give y'all a story time about why it is important to not fuck with something that you was not gonna mess with to begin with. Like going outside of your type. Just don't do it. Just stick to what you know, okay? All right, let's get into it. Or whatever. And I was talking to this dude. I think I met him on Hinge or Facebook dating. One of those. Hinge or Facebook dating or whatever. And we was talking for like a week or so. And I ended up getting his Snapchat. And we started texting on Snapchat. And he kept asking me, could he come out here? And I'm like, nah, you know, I don't really want to fuck with you right now like that. Anyways, so one night, I think I was lonely or bored or whatever. Mind you, this nigga lived in Shreveport, Louisiana. I live in Denton, Texas. Do the math of how long this is. I want to say some hours, maybe 2 hours or something like that. Anyway, so I told him, I said, okay, can you come? Because I want you to come. Like, I'm bored. I want you to come over there. So this nigga was like, hell yeah, I'll come. So this nigga did the dash to get to me, whatever. Boom, boom, boom. Now, mind y'all, when I saw this nigga profile, I'm thinking 6'3", you know what I'm saying? 6'3", skinny, dark chocolate with waves. That's what it's giving. Yeah. Why the fuck I opened the door and this man is looking me in the fuck opened the door and this man is looking me in the fucking eyes. if you're 6'3", you shouldn't look me in the eyes. I'm 5'5", 5'6". We shouldn't be looking each other in the motherfucking eyes. Why am I looking you in the motherfucking eyes? So I'm instantly got the ick. I'm instantly like, cause you lied. But now you already drove. I don't even want you in my shit. But I'm like, okay, come on. Like, fuck, I'm irritated. But I'm like, okay, maybe he cool people. So we chopping or whatever, boom, boom, boom. So we smoke or whatever. And if I could get high around you, you cool. He was cool, whatever. So we smoke. And then I was like, well, I'm hungry. Like, can we go, like, to Waffle House? Because if you know, you know. So we go to Waffle House or whatever. And we get inside Waffle House. And you ever just look at a motherfucker, you just looking at them. And I'm like, nah, this nigga ugly than a hoe. I'm real. This nigga not touching me. Like, this nigga ugly than a bitch. Like, you could not. Fuck. I don't even want you in my house, but you drove, bro. I'm like, fuck. So we, or whatever. So we eat. And then, like, the lady come and she's like, you know, like, who wants the ticket? And obviously I'm not saying nothing because I don't, what the fuck? Nigga, you came to see me. Obviously you're going to pay for the fucking $24 meal. Like, so he looking at me. He like, I'm looking at him. He looks at me. And I look at him. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm like, can you pay for it? Or do you want me to pay? Like, now I'm lost. Now I really got the ick. He's like, no, I got it. Okay, so what the fuck are you looking at me like that for? Like, nigga, get the ticket, go pay for it so we can fucking go. Like, we looking at each other trying to figure it out when you, like, that irritating me. So now I'm really ready to go. So, with y'all back to my apartment or whatever, you're not getting in this bed. Do you see my look? Baby, do you see my stuff? Nice. You're not getting here. You can't even step foot in this bitch. This is the jungle. Safari. You can't come in here. So off rip, I'm sleeping on the couch. You sleeping on the air mattress. Off rip. You're not coming here. He was cool with that shit or whatever. Boom. He bring a spend the night bag or whatever. He took him a shower because you can't lay on the mattress until you take a shower. Now, this is my best friend air mattress already fucked up. So I knew that bitch was going to deflate and all of that. That bitch is already on his way out of here, honestly. But the shit I tell you next is going to blow your fucking mind. Come back for part 2, because what the fuck? And he took him a shower or whatever. You know, he had like cute little pajama clothes on. I'm like, okay. So I moved the mattress closer to the couch to where we could like be by each other, you know, but not directly next to each other, if that makes sense. Like we're eye level to each other or whatever. And we watching the movie, we chilling like it's going good. I say like 2, 3 in the morning. Cause I'm a light sleeper. I wake up. I feel somebody like getting up and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm looking at him and he like, ah, shit, not again. But I'm half asleep, y'all. I'm in and out of it. I'm like, what the fuck, not again? But I'm half asleep. And he gets up, he digging in his bag. He get a whole nother set of clothes. He go in the restroom. I'm back to sleep. As soon as he come back in the living room, I wake back up. Then he get back in the bed. But this time, he's closer to me than on the other side. So I'm like, what the fuck? And he's feeling something on the air mattress while he next to me. I'm like, you okay? You good? He like, yeah, I'm okay. We go to sleep, we wake up or whatever. And then, honestly, y'all, really, like, I'm still in fucking shock. So we get up or whatever, and, you know, we kicking out. I'm like, hi, you know, it was nice to meet you, da-da-da. I was like, I'm gonna text you. I already knew when that nigga left, I was not gonna text him. The fuck, like, loser. Anyways, so I get to cleaning up. I get my cover and it's wet. So I'm like, what the fuck is this fucking liquid? So I get in my hand, of course, because it's my fucking house. I wanna know what the fuck that is. I touch it and I do this. I smell fucking pee on my hand. There's pee on my fucking hand. We're process of elimination. I didn't fucking pee. So who peed? He fucking peed on the air mattress, guys. Cleaned himself up. Laid back on the fucking pissy air mattress. Used the same pissy cover. And went to sleep. To make matters worse, I texted the nigga. I said, did you like pee on the air mattress? He was like, oh yeah, I did. I had an accident. You're 27. Huh? The fuck do you mean an accident, nigga? An accident? No, you fucking pee yourself. Nigga, after you hit 8 years old, it's not an accident. You're a grown ass man. You're 27. I'm 22. You pissed yourself. I said, okay, when you gonna send me the money to get another air mattress? Like, y'all, he was planning to send the money. So at this point, I'm irritated. I cussed him out. I said, you're disgusting, you're dirty, and you're fucking childish for peeing on the fucking air mattress, you fucking loser. Like, I was going in on him, and I blocked him. But to make long story short, y'all, niggas is out here. They're weird. They childish, and they're out here pissing on beds. And something told me not to let that nigga in my bed. And I'm so glad I didn't. Because if you would have peed on my mattress, we would have really had a fucking problem in this hoe. So just be careful fucking with these niggas off Hinge, Facebook dating. Y'all got so many crazy fucking stories. Let me know if y'all want more. I have crazy, like, y'all. My life's a movie for real. Stay safe though.
That is where the first story locks in. Not at the Airbnb where the other girls gave cold energy and could not be bothered to say hello properly. Not at the club where the Hinge match started asking her friend more questions and tilting his attention somewhere else in a way she noticed and filed away. Not even when they got back from the club and he was shushing them on the stairs like they were strangers in someone else's house. The moment that changed the night was when she realized her purse was gone. Her car keys and house keys were in it, and the man who had invited her out was saying no. She could not go look. She was not asking to throw a party. She was asking to walk across the apartment and check the roof where they had all been drinking. He said no because the girls were sleeping. The same girls who had been cold to everyone all evening. The same girls who had not cared about his birthday plans and had refused to go to the places he wanted to go. Their sleep was now a priority over this woman's ability to get into her car and her home. He locked them in his room. That is the specific detail. He walked them down a flight of stairs, pushed them into the room, and closed the door. The friend who came with her was not supporting her. At some point, it became two people watching her cry in the corner while she tried to explain that she needed to find her keys, not because she was overreacting, not because she was ruining the night, but because without those keys, she could not get home. She ended up in the attached bathroom calling her baby daddy because the people in the room had stopped being useful. That is where a casual Saturday goes when the situation loses all air. You're in a stranger's bathroom, drunk, crying, on the phone with someone from a different part of your life, trying to explain why you can't leave. The Hinge match was not necessarily being malicious. He was probably just anxious about waking those girls, not fully registering that missing keys are a different category of problem from general inconvenience, the kind of problem that does not resolve itself by the morning. But the not registering that your keys not being found is a different category of problem is itself the information. When someone you invited out is balled up in a corner crying because she cannot get into her house, figuring out where the keys are becomes the most important thing in the room. The sleeping girls are a secondary concern at that point. That this arrangement did not feel obvious to him is something she is going to be sitting with for a while. The bar story operates on a completely different mechanism, but arrives at a similar place. A man who understood exactly what he was doing. She was in her networking era, going out regularly, talking to people, making connections. A man bought her a drink from across the bar and came over. She liked him. They were hitting it off. She looked at his hands, as she says you must with middle-aged men, and she clocked the ring. He explained it immediately. Nasty divorce, custody battle, Everything is currently complicated and painful. She felt for him. They shifted the conversation because it was heavy, and they talked for 4 or 5 hours. When she got home, she ran a full background check. No wife, no kids, no marriage, no divorce filing, nothing. His social media was quiet in a particular way, not absent, just conspicuously empty of anyone who should have been there if the story was true. She had gone looking for the wife to expose him to her. There was no wife to find. 4 to 5 hours. That is a full evening. She was present in that conversation. He was present in it too, in the sense that he maintained an entire emotional backstory for that long without anything slipping. The tone of someone going through something real, the detail of a custody situation, the weight of a failing marriage described to a stranger at a bar. There was craft in that. The craft just went entirely toward a version of events that he invented. Someone explained to her later that there are men with a specific attraction to the idea of a woman being willing to engage with them while they are supposedly married. The fake divorce is the middle version of this, the one where he gets to test whether she would be willing without the cost of actually being unfaithful, because the wife does not exist. He wanted the experience of a woman who did not rule him out because of the ring. The 4 hours of conversation were real in the sense that the feeling in them was real. The ring was real. The story around the ring was not. That is a particular kind of work to put into something. Jose appeared in person for the first time at the apartment complex rent office. He was shorter than expected, skinny. He gave her a kiss on the cheek and handed her the toilet paper. The toilet paper detail needs its own moment because it is the first version of a thing that keeps repeating with him. He offers, she declines, he shows up anyway. She said she would just run to the corner store. He said he had more than enough. Do not worry about it. She called him back and said she was going to go to the store. He said, okay, cool. But he was still going to give her the toilet paper. And then he showed up at the rent office with the toilet paper. The offer had already been declined. He brought it anyway. She chose the rent office specifically so he would not know her apartment number. This was their first meeting in person after 5 days of Facebook messaging and FaceTime. She was not being dramatic. She was being practical. Someone you do not know yet does not need to know where your door is. She was already reading something in the dynamic that made her want to maintain some distance between her actual location and his knowledge of it. The in-person meeting did not reassure her. He was not what she had been picturing. She was kind about it in the telling, but the implication is clear. The version of him she had been forming in her mind and the version that showed up at the rent office were not the same. They parted. He said he would be expecting her call. She got home and talked to her mom. She looked up and it was 2 a.m. She had forgotten the call. He was already calling. When she explained, he told her that she was not supposed to be spending that much time with her mother, that a girlfriend or a wife is supposed to give all of her time and attention to him, that a mother should not be getting that much of her time. He had known her for 5 days. He had met her in person once. He had not been invited to the apartment. The argument for taking Jose seriously as a whole person is that people who become possessive that quickly usually come from somewhere. There is often a history underneath that behavior, a pattern of abandonment, a relationship where they felt secondary, some version of attention that was promised and then withdrawn. That history is real, and it produces real things. The argument against using that history as a reason to stay in that room is that the history is not her responsibility to absorb. And 5 days in is not the time to discover that this is going to be the organizing principle of the whole arrangement. The Chicago story is the one that lands differently from the other three because the man is not actually doing something wrong. That is part of why it hurts more precisely. 2 good dates. Not good in the way that you talk yourself into afterward, but good in the way where the conversation moved and you could not notice the time passing. He opened the car door. He kissed her hand when they held hands. He drove her home after the first date and parked to walk her up. After the second date, she stayed over because it was late and she was tired. And in the morning, he drove her back and they went to get breakfast by her place and sat there for a while. That kind of morning does not happen by accident. You have to want to extend the thing. They were talking about kayaking, an escape room, a Cubs game this summer. Those are not conversations you have with someone you are not thinking about. When you start putting activities into the future tense together, that is the thing you are building, or at least the beginning of something you are testing to see if it holds. She did not hear from him on the 4th of July. She did not spiral. She texted him Sunday morning and said it plainly. I have not heard from you, and I noticed that, and I would just like a little more check-in. Not demanding, not alarmed, just direct. That is the kind of message that should not require courage to send. And in a situation with real mutual investment, it would not. He texted back in 20 minutes. Friday night, he ran into his ex at a bar. They had a long conversation. They decided to get back together. The ex had been gone a year. The long distance was what had broken it, and now she was apparently back in town. That is all. That is the whole event. She ran into him, and whatever the conversation surfaced, they decided to try again. He was in bed with her Friday morning. She says out loud that she knows he did not change the sheets between them. She is probably right, because that is not the kind of thing you think to do when you are 24 hours out from a conversation that reorganized your whole situation. That is the detail that holds the timeline. No interval. He went from one morning to that evening, and both of those things happened on the same day. He is not a bad person for that. He did not do anything to her on purpose. The timing just compressed everything in a way that makes it impossible to sit with comfortably. What she is grieving is not just this specific man. She says as much. She is grieving the specific things he did that she had started to believe were gone from dating. The car door, the hand kiss, the plans that had weight behind them. She had found someone who did those things, and it turned out he had a prior claim on someone else. The margaritas are on Tuesday. She says she is fine. She is probably fine. It just takes a little time to get there from a Friday morning that felt like one thing and ended up being something else entirely. What runs through all 4 of these is the specific distance between the opening and what follows it. The Hinge match seemed like someone who wanted to celebrate his birthday and have a good time. The barman seemed like someone going through something real who connected with her over drinks. Jose seemed like an attentive, persistent guy who drove across town to bring toilet paper. The Chicago man seemed like the one who might break the streak. None of those versions were the version that showed up later. The Hinge match prioritized sleeping strangers over her ability to get into her home. The barman had no wife, but wanted the experience of a woman who would have stayed anyway. Jose wanted total access to her time before they had ever met in person. The Chicago man reorganized his situation in less than a day. Dating runs on first impressions by design. You are making decisions with limited information, and the full information tends to arrive gradually, which means you are somewhere in the middle of the thing before you understand what the thing actually is. Some Saturdays you lose your purse and it turns into a situation nobody prepared for. Some Tuesdays you get margaritas and take stock of what the last 2 weeks were about. That is the deal. You show up, you get a version of someone, and then eventually you get the rest of the version, and sometimes the rest of the version is a surprise, and sometimes it is a bruise, and sometimes it is just a Thursday night when you find out he went back to someone he loved before you got here.